Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tiberium Wars New Year 1 vs. 1 tournament for 2016, proudly hosted by GameReplays.org. My name is Spartacus, and we are in for some excellent 1v1 action today, folks, and I am so glad to be back. It has been very long since I've actually put up a cast or actually been out here to cast a tournament, so it is great to be back. Happy 2016 to all of you folks out there that I haven't had an opportunity to talk with yet. I hope you guys all had a nice holiday season, but we are back to business here, folks, so let's jump into it straight away. So a couple of things to note before we get started. All links referred to in this cast are available in the description of the video, so check that show more button beneath the video to follow along with our broadcast for today. Additionally, all music... Wow, okay, let's try again. Additionally, all music heard during this broadcast is courtesy of both Zircon and Little V Mills. So if you enjoy the music you hear today, please be sure to check out their respective websites, which are linked in the description below. Furthermore, if you find yourself bored during the downtime, you won't find yourself bored, but if you do find yourself bored during the downtime, we'll inevitably have in-between games or series. Feel free to click on that I button in the top right of your video screen for direct links to past events and single game commentaries on my channel. Now with that out of the way, let's discuss the specifics of today's event, because that's why you guys are here. That's what you want to see, so let's jump into it. So all of our games are going to be played as best of 3 series until the semifinals, which will be best of 5, and concluding with the third place and finals matches as best of 7 series. So the round of 32, if we have one, will kick off on Tournament Arena. Round of 16 will start off on Tournament Tower. Round of 8, which will be the quarterfinals, will kick off on Tournament Dust Bowl. The round of 4, being the semifinal, will start on Red Zone Rampage. I'm sorry, not Red Zone Rampage. Whoa, I have my notes wrong here. Let's try that again. I thought I updated this, but apparently I didn't. So the semifinals will kick off on Tournament Rift, and then the finals match will start on Tournament Coastline. And then in the event that we have a third place round, which I'm hoping we do, that one will kick off on Barstow Badlands. So that's going to be our starting maps for today. I know I'm going through this one lightning fast here. These guys dropped the bracket on me real fast here this morning. I was expecting like at least another 5 minutes before this started, so I'm a little bit disheveled. I do apologize for that. But with that said, let's go ahead and throw the bracket up on the screen so you guys can see this right away. Again, it is linked in the description of the video, so you can follow along on your own. I highly encourage you to do so, as it's going to be a much better way of keeping track of where things are at even while we are in a game. So with that said, let me just turn the music down just a touch here, and we'll throw us over to the brackets here, and we'll take a look and see what we have for today. We'll pop that up on the screen. So here we are with the bracket for today's event. So taking a look from top to bottom, we're going to run through this lightning quick because these guys are already starting without me. A bummer, but it is the case. So it looks like we are going to be seeing a round of 16, an abridged round of 16. So Shocktreatment going to be facing off against Tiger Expert as our only game in the round of 16 series. So Shocktreatment going to be made to do some work here today. He's going to have to work his way through the bracket, but that's okay. And then down below that, we have Angel of Death getting a free win. Everybody else getting free wins. So essentially, we're just waiting on Shocktreatment versus Tiger Expert for the round of 16, and then the winner of that will end up facing off against Angel of Death. Down below that series, we have Zoro facing off against JonyCalcinha. And then down below that, we have Maize facing off against We Got the Rockets. And then Bert facing off against Diplodocus. And I'm sure I'm going to get that name wrong a number of times here today. I'm pretty sure I already got it wrong, but that's what we're going to call him. I'm sure it's some kind of reference to like a, some kind of, God, what's the word? Dinosaur. That's the one I was looking for. The extinct creature that used to walk the earth, or if you believe some certain beliefs, they never walked the earth at all. But anyways, I don't know how we ended up down that route. But starting off 2016 with a bang here. So we're going to be jumping into our first series here momentarily, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to our first game of today, and that's going to be our starting game on a best of 3 series for the round of 8, and that's going to bring us to the map Tournament Tower. And spawning the upper left hand corner as the green GDI, we have Zoro. And then sliding down to the bottom right corner, his opponent for this match as the pink Nod, we have JonyCalcinha. Let's go ahead and throw that up on the scoreboard. JonyCalcinha versus Zoro here. Game number 1, best of 3, so it's first to 2. Whoever can come out on top, and Tournament Tower going to be the first map. Should be an interesting game. GDI versus Nod, so we're not going to be seeing like super Scorpion Tank battles on this map. I'm honestly not sure exactly what these guys will choose to do. I can't remember the go-to strategies for GDI versus Nod here on this map. A lot of Nod play, it ends up just being, you know, double or triple War Factory Scorpion Tanks, and then it's just whoever can muscle the other person off of their expansion field ends up winning the game. I would imagine it's going to be something similar, but we're already seeing a little bit of a divergence here. We've got a couple of bikes out, and they should be colliding with this Pitbull. They should be able to take that Pitbull down. Yes, it will go down. So early scouting advantage going to be going over here to Zoro. So he's got a little bit of to JonyCalcinha. So he's got a little bit of a scouting advantage here, going to be putting a little bit of pressure on these forward harvesters. Very early expansions here to the center of the map. Very, very standard stuff. We have an APC engineer out from Zoro. I think there was another one out as well. I'm not sure if I was mistaken. No, I must be mistaken. So there is an APC engineer out at the moment. It has been spotted, so Bike Buggy going to be able to clean that up pretty quickly. And actually, I'm assuming that's what that Bike Buggy is really designated for, is just kind of hunting down those inevitable APC engineers coming out from GDI. It's kind of interesting how, coming from Kane's Wrath, you know, Tib Wars, the main cheese is actually out of GDI, out of all things. You know, the faction that has pretty much no rush options in Kane's Wrath, but they have one of the most potent ones in Tib Wars with the APC engineer because of the lack of capture time for the engineers. Wow, that harvester going surprisingly low. Is that going to be pulled off the line? This is a big mistake here by Zoro. He could have definitely saved this harvester. That one's going to go down, and with a full load of green Tiberium. Very unfortunate indeed. All of those bikes will go down in the process. One may get away. Looks like that one may get away, in fact. So let's take a look and see what we have coming out in the meantime. It's just going to be triple refinery here coming out from JonyCalcinha. He seems to be content with just going really, really heavy eco. Hasn't actually dropped a second refinery on his main field. Should be looking to do that in the near future here, but these guys obviously want to get chomping away on their expansion fields first. They want to make sure that they can harvest that quickly before the pressure comes on from either side, because once the pressure starts getting put on, it becomes a little bit more difficult to actually mine on these fields. But it looks like JonyCalcinha going to be the aggressor here in this game. I'm not terribly surprised, having seen a number of his games. He's going to be putting on the pressure here. Watchtower does go down, or rather gets sold off to get that Rifleman squad out. Now the harvester going to be under fire here, and this is the problem. If you're not able to defend this field early, you lose a couple of harvesters or even just some mining time by having your harvesters pulled off the line. It's a pretty serious loss here, and we got Scorpion tanks here already on the front lines. Going to be looking to do a lot of damage. And they're just, again, muscling these harvesters off the front lines. They are going to be able to claim one harvester here. It's going to be close. Those rocket squads may actually take it out. No, one more shot should take it down. Okay, it does finally take it down. I thought for a second after it was pulled off of the line there that it wasn't going to go down, but that harvester did, in fact, go down. So a decent amount of economy harassment here coming out from JonyCalcinha. Nothing coming out from Zoro at the moment. His APC engineer was shut down pretty freaking hard. So I'm not sure what his response is going to be. Tech center down for Zoro at this point in time, and it looked like there was tier 2 down for JonyCalcinha, so I can only imagine, yes, that is going to be a tech lab for him as well. No actual upgrades being queued at this time, so more than likely just going to be for Obelisk in the near future. I wouldn't be surprised if JonyCalcinha opted to move his MCV at this point in time. He's got a pretty significant economy advantage. He's really, really forced Zoro off of this field. He's only got 3 harvesters. He's already lost. Oh! 2 refineries and 2 harvesters going to be going down there to a 1-click. So JonyCalcinha going to be opting to go for the quick 1-clicks. Not terribly quick, but I mean they're certainly fast enough. And that's going to really be stunting Zoro's economy. The question is, does he have double ref on his backfield? He does. Has 4 harvesters back here as well, so he's definitely got some economy to speak of, but he's been hurt pretty bad here on the front lines. And now I think, honestly, JonyCalcinha is a bit overcommitted here. He sent all of his Scorpion tanks in to kind of kill off what was remaining here on this field, where I think he maybe could have just cut and run. I mean, he could have felt very comfortable. Oh, I don't think that was intended. Oh, he probably didn't have build radius. That's kind of a tough spot because the Tiberium blocks the build radius of those structures, so a bit unfortunate. Tiberium Vapor Bomb gets shot down by a Firehawk. Fantastic shot there by Zoro to manage to pick that up. I don't know if he actually saw that or if it was just a coincidence, but actually a Harvester being bugged out there, a bit unfortunate. JonyCalcinha needs to get that one back to work. Avatar is being pumped out now, but it looks like JonyCalcinha is actually slowed down here. A lot of money being invested in those one-clicks, so he's probably stretched for cash at this point in time. Does still have a fair bit of Tiberium on his green field here back at home, and it doesn't look like he's actually harvested all that much on this field, despite having 3 refineries. Doesn't look like he's had a whole lot of harvesters here to actually work on it. But it looks like there was just a few units here, not too much to be worried about. I thought I saw Zone Troopers. Yeah, so Zone Trooper inside of that APC. Not quite sure where that came from. So it looks like there was some kind of a bombing run back here. Not sure what was hit. MCV's on the move here for Zoro. Wants to get some forward placement here. More than likely to get his refineries down. Should have just harvested out that piece of green Tiberium behind that Juggernaut in order to deal with this. Tower going to be getting focused down here by the Juggernauts. And that's a smart move. So just a Firehawk going to be sitting over the top of things here, more than likely just with an anti-air loadout. Going to be looking to pick off any cheeky one-clicks coming in, mine drops, things like that. Actually, I don't think mine drops are a thing in Tiberium Wars. Staying true to form here, folks. Staying true to form. That's how I normally do things. But no, I'm pretty sure mine drop is a thing in Tiberium Wars. But anyways, I won't continue down that path. We'll worry about that later on. But Avatar is going to be coming forward, and they have infantry support, so that's going to be pretty scary. Vertigo Bomber's actually out as well, so maybe that's what those Firehawks are out to deal with, but they won't be able to get the shots off here. They are out of position, so one of the Juggernauts is going to be going down there. Hut's going to be able to be reclaimed, but it managed to take down a Harvester. Mine drop does come in, so that is a thing. We can confirm that right now. All of those mines will be spotted, so Zoro just going to have to be careful here to make sure that those Juggernauts don't move, but they're taking quite a bit of splash damage. No, they're not. It just looks like they are. So Rocket Squad's going to be standing on Tiberium, going to be taking a bit of damage over time, but those Avatars really coming forward and crushing this army here. The Juggernaut's just not able to deal the DPS that they need to, and with the constant bombarding of the Vertigo Bombers they're managing to clean up all of these extra units here as they're pushed forward. And there is a barracks here on the front lines, but I would imagine Zoro is pretty strapped for cash. You can see he's cleaned up his main field now. Does have Firehawks out, but oh, there are stealth tanks on the back side of things, and they're going to be able to clean up the airfield there and manage to just eliminate the threat of the Firehawks. So now the Vertigo Bomber is going to be pretty much uncontested at this point in time. Pitbulls would be a way of dealing with them, but it's pretty tough because you really have to get them at a right spot. Commando out on the field, not sure what that's for. It looks like he's going to be going in for a kill on the Avatars. Will be able to get one. Will he be able to get the second one? I think he's going to have to jump jet if he's going to get it. I don't know, do Commandos? Yes, Commandos have jump jets in Tib Wars. You don't see Commandos almost ever, especially GDI Commandos. Oh! The fadeaway! The fadeaway, folks! The bomb and then immediately flying backwards. That was pretty cool looking, I'm not going to lie. But the sell-up coming in here from Zoro, just selling up some infrastructure that he doesn't need anymore. Tier 2 as well as a couple of refineries that aren't really doing anything for him. Unfortunately, his harvester is being poked away here. Stealth tank going to continue to get some damage here, and it looks like it should be able to clean up that final remaining harvester. That may actually, in fact, be the last harvester for Zoro. I say that as another one pops out of this refinery and another one out of the war factory. But there are some more harassment units here on the front lines. Venom's going to be coming out to deal with the infantry. Looks like the Commando did go down. Yes, I think the Commando did go down, so that is no longer a threat. The Venom's dealt with that pretty handily. Again, Commando's not the most ideal unit, but pretty good against Avatars and structures. It looks like the sell-up going to be coming in from Zoro, so that's going to be it. Zoro has been defeated. JonyCalcinha going to be picking up the game and putting him up 1-0. So pretty solid action-packed game out of these guys. JonyCalcinha really dictating the pace of that game throughout the entire course of the game. But Zoro held his ground for a time. Unfortunately, was not able to come out on top in that game. So we will be moving on into game number 2. We'll just take a quick look at the resources tab. You can see, this is where Zoro was really pushed off of that middle field, and you can see he just flatlined after that once he was able to harvest up his whole main green Tiberium field. And just the constant bombarding runs from those vertical bombers just really put him in a bad position. So solid game out of JonyCalcinha. He's looking good so far today. Can he pick up a game number 2 and a series win here coming up in game number 2? That's coming up right now, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 2 of this best of 3 series, and that brings us to Tournament Rift. And sliding over to the left-hand side as the green GDI, the man that's up 1-0 in this best of 3 series, we have JonyCalcinha. And sliding over to the right-hand side, his opponent behind the 8-ball here as the pink scrin, we have Zoro. So it is 1-0 in favor of JonyCalcinha, and we are ripping through games here so far this morning. Granted, we've only got one under our belt, but there is absolutely no downtime, and I am loving it. Loving it. These guys are all over it. They're getting their games done. But we are going to be seeing some APC engineer shenanigans coming out from JonyCalcinha, so I would expect Zoro to follow up with some kind of seeker tanks. This is going to work out pretty well against Scrin, just due to the fact that the seeker tanks take quite a long time to actually focus down any APCs. So we may actually see those APC engineers grabbing something away from Zoro here, but the flip side of the thing is there are 2 engineers, so those may actually be used to grab the southern Tiberium spikes. That may actually be a more worthwhile move there because he knows he can grab those pretty much uncontested. Yes, there are a couple of buzzers here, but with the APC support, there's absolutely no way that he's going to lose those engineers, minus a buzzer swarm support power. So APC engineers, I think they have been spotted by Zoro, but let's take a look and see what's going on in his base. He has been scouted as well by just a single rifleman squad. Buzzer Hive being dropped here, very strange Buzzer Hive placement, but he will manage to get the kill on that low health squad anyways. I would have expected that Buzzer Hive to be up here somewhere just to be able to kill that squad off a little bit faster, but the pack-up comes in from Zoro, so we haven't actually seen too much in the way of seeker tanks, so there's the first seeker tank coming out. APCs have been spotted, so Zoro definitely knows that this is coming now, and it looks like the APCs are on the move down to the south. They may actually look to take away the Tiberium spike here of Zoro. That one's a little bit risky because that can just be easily recaptured here by Zoro. I think, in fact, he still has his portal. He did for a time, but he does not now. But anyways, the expansion coming out from Zoro, the seeker tanks are going to be enough to actually force away the APCs here, and the APCs, they will win this fight, I believe, over time. Not if they're going to be 1v2 though. Pitbull going to be joining the fight here as well, and that should even the fight up here for JonyCalcinha. He needs to be careful though. He doesn't want to lose Pitbulls if he doesn't have to. Not sure what these. Okay, so the Pitbulls are just here to actually deal with the seeker tanks. Unfortunate pathing though, because they're going in essentially one at a time, and they're getting focused down very quickly. A group of Pitbulls here are going to be joining the battle, going to be looking to get into the mix, but 2 APC engineers still alive here, both about half HP, so he needs to be careful. I think, honestly, at this point, just to make those engineers worthwhile, he needs to send those down to the south, grab the Tiberium spikes away from Zoro, and it looks like maybe that's what he's going to do now. Or rather, not away from Zoro, but just make sure that they go into his hands first. He'll get the full refund of those engineers. Pretty sure you still get a refund. Oh, I thought I would brush up on my Tib Wars knowledge before I started this cast here today, but I guess I didn't. But anyways, it will be a crane out from Zoro. We did see that a bit earlier on. Still no expansion here, or rather pack up coming out from JonyCalcinha. He opted to go for the creep expansion, and you can obviously do that very easily here in Tiberium Wars. Most structures give you build radius minus a select few. So it's a pretty viable strategy to just base creep your way down. Oh my god, 2 assimilators just going to be holding their ground here, looking to just camp out. And thank god that those pitbulls didn't actually join the fight down there. If they come down this direction, he needs to be careful. These seeker tanks actually kind of baiting the pitbulls into position to actually spot those assimilators, and that's not what JonyCalcinha wants, or rather not what Zoro wants. But anyways, JonyCalcinha going to be grabbing both of those Tiberium spikes. We'll get the $750 for the engineers, and then the 25 credits a second for each one of those. Pitbull's going to be picking off stray seeker tanks around the map here, and JonyCalcinha just looking to be in good shape here for controlling the early game. He is behind in terms of economy, though, only has 2 refineries and 3 harvesters on his expansion. Meanwhile, we will be seeing 3 refineries and 3 harvesters on the expansion here for Zoro. So actually, despite having 3 refineries, or rather more refineries, Zoro's actually a little bit slower on the eco here on this field. But that's okay. I would imagine that will equalize in the near future. It looks like the assimilators have managed to go back and recapture these Tiberium spikes away from JonyCalcinha, so that's going to be really good for him over time. Just eliminating the threat of those engineers, and also just keeping those Tiberium spikes under his own control. Those will definitely start paying for themselves pretty quickly. Seeker tanks getting beat up pretty hard here by the Predator tanks of JonyCalcinha, but they did manage to do a fair bit of damage to the harvesters here. It looks like they spread damage out a bit. I don't know if they actually managed to claim any harvester kills, but Seeker tanks not wanting to engage into those Predator tanks, that is for sure. It looks like they were just on a defensive ground stance there, and it looks like JonyCalcinha was going to send his tanks down to deal with those. But Shock Troopers out with disc upgrades as well. Plasma disc launchers are done for Zoro, so he's definitely got something in mind here. And those will do extremely well against the Predator tanks. Need to be careful about the APCs, though. Mastermind coming very far forward without the support of any Shock Troopers. Shock Troopers are here now. Need to be careful not to get crushed. They're taking quite a bit of damage. Actually, I don't know if they can get crushed. I don't think they can. So they don't have to worry about the Predator tanks really being a threat in that situation. Yeah, they're just running right in front of the Predator tanks, saying, hey, you can't do anything about us. Unfortunately, kind of spreading damage out. It looks like he kind of forgot about him. Looks like he's maybe trying to keep his mastermind alive, but obviously we do have our first tripod out on the map, and by first I mean it's probably the first of many that we're going to be seeing. Tripod's a very, very good strategy late game here for Skren. Not terribly shocking, and going to be extremely good against this tier 1 army here of JonyCalcinha. Johnny needs to start teching up here, needs to start figuring out an answer to those tripods. We'll have to see what he chooses to go for. Command post already down, more than likely tech center on the way. Or he may be going for some additional base creep. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be. Tech center is down. Actually, a space uplink command done as well. So crane now down for Johnny as well. So he's got, holy cow, look at the harvesters. That's a lot of harvesters, Johnny, and you don't want those all on this field. Maybe just a little bit afraid of expanding towards the middle of the map. Zoro does have good control over this now. He has a stasis chamber down as well. So stasis shield is a real scary threat here, and we did hear something. Okay, so Mastermind did come in and get a snipe on the MCV. I didn't think we'd be able to hear that, but we did in fact hear it. MCV is gone for JonyCalcinha. Low power going to be dealt with here, and he's got very low power. He's being forced to power micro a decent number of structures here, but it looks like Mammoth Tank's going to be out to try to deal with the threat of the tripods, but we do see the stasis shield being used. I think a bit preemptive. I don't know what the purpose of that stasis shield was. I don't know if Johnny was just choosing to be, or rather go really aggressive here. But the APC is going to be able to mow down these, mow down the Shock Troopers no problem whatsoever. And I mean, they may trade a kill or two, but honestly, the Shock Trooper is going to be a lot more expensive than these units, at least from my knowledge. And oh, Shockwave Artillery. What? Whoa, okay, so Zoro really putting that mastermind to good use. Comes in, grabs the space uplink command, shockwaves JonyCalcinha's own army, manages to kill off a fair bit of the infantry as well as lock down a couple of the mammoth tanks. Phase field comes in on only one tripod, So now the rest of these tripods can easily be focused down, and that one tripod that is phased is actually running out of the battle. That's not what you want to be seeing. Zoro, what is going on here with this fight? Kind of a botched stasis shield, as well as kind of a strange phase field is used as well. Very, very interesting choices here, and he's keeping his phased tripod on the back lines. He really needs to be running this in and just crushing all of these units or forcing them to back off. Yeah, I mean, he may lose that tripod after it comes unphased, but it's not really that big of a deal. He's losing a lot of infrastructure in the meantime, and its eco is going to be hit really hard as well, but it looks like he's focusing hard on this. And a gravity stabilizer being dropped in the base of JonyCalcinha, so it looks like this is really where Zoro's focus is at the time. But I don't know that that's really going to pay the dividends that he's looking for. But it looks like somehow he's managed to actually clean this up with the aid of the shock troopers here, cleaning up all of the armor with the assistance of the Annihilator tripods. But now the shock trooper is going to be going down to the rifleman squads that are remaining. But it looks like a yeah, construction yard back out now for JonyCalcinha, so he's back in this game. Has dropped down his armory as well. Does he have any upgrades yet? He doesn't actually have any upgrades yet, so maybe just using that for build radius. Not quite sure. I don't think the armories are terribly expensive, so probably just being used for build radius. More than likely going to be seeing these guys fighting over the tripod husks up here in the near future, so I wouldn't be shocked to see some engineers popping out. Yeah, there they are. But unfortunately going to be going down to the buzzers once they realize that they're out on the field. May actually be able to get that engineer into a tripod husk. That's kind of interesting that Zoro's allowing this to happen under full view. Yeah, he's going to be getting a couple of tripods here. This is scary. Zoro, a really, really big missed opportunity here. These buzzers doing absolutely nothing, just sitting on the bottom side of the Tiberium field. Really need to be up here grabbing these tripods, and or rather just destroying these engineers. He does manage to deny one of the engineers, but one of the tripods will be going over to JonyCalcinha, and that may be just what he needs in order to stay alive in this game. He's going to be able to get a decent bit of damage out. Manages to take down one of the tripods here of Zoro. Will definitely lose out to this tripod with the shields here from Zoro at this point. But Shock Troopers just continuing to run in one by one. But the GG coming in from JonyCalcinha as he's been completely collapsed on the backside of things. So the cheese was a bit too real, and JonyCalcinha going to be dropping that game. So Zoro going to be taking this one to an ace match. So I didn't focus too much on what was going on in the base of Johnny, but it looks like maybe that's where Zoro's focus kind of was, and I can't blame him too much. He's done a lot of infrastructure damage with the capture of those structures and managing to drop down his own buildings and just kind of building in behind Johnny. And when that happens, you're literally squeezed between two bases. It becomes very difficult to continue to put the pressure on without having to worry about what's going on behind you. So solid game out of Zoro. Few micro mistakes, or really a pretty significant number of them actually, but in the end he did come through victorious. JonyCalcinha making a few mistakes of his own, not really paying enough respect maybe to the mastermind threat that was out on the field. He did know that was out pretty early, so he could have done something to deal with that a little bit earlier, but honestly those masterminds just so tricky to deal with, so can't fault him too much there. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up for game number 2, and it's going to be sending us to the ace match, game number 3 of this best of 3 series coming up momentarily, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 3, our ace match of this best of 3 series, and that brings us to the map Small Town, USA. And spawning down in the bottom left corner, the man that picked up a game, or rather evened up the series in his last game as the yellow nod, we have Zoro. And sliding up into the top right corner, his opponent in this series as the green GDI, we have JonyCalcinha. So let's go ahead and pop that up on the screen. I am just going to double check to make sure I've got the names right. I do. I just wanted to double check that one. There was something lingering in the back of my mind that was like, that might not be right. I think there's an engineer standing on that Tiberium field. Yeah, he blends in really good. He's going to lose that engineer. Oh my god, is that engineer going to die? $500 down the drain. JonyCalcinha not off to a good start. And going to be losing that engineer that was likely for an APC engineer. But no longer going to be a threat. $500 just being literally thrown into the Tiberium field. Going to be absorbed back into the, I guess, into the Tiberium. But anyways, we will be seeing an early number of rocket squads coming out from Zoro, and actually that's not terribly shocking on this map. You will see both human factions sending some rocket squads to the center of the map to grab some of those some structures in the center of the map. Holy cow, I could not think of the word. While they try to grab some garrisons and maybe put a little bit of pressure on any units that are moving through the middle there, particularly any armor units or even light armored units like pit bulls. May even be able to snag a kill on one of those if they stick around long enough. But pit bull's going to be moving around the map here for JonyCalcinha. It looks like he's going to be sending those up to the top of the map. Looks like there is an APC engineer here on the bottom side of the map. I don't know if that has been spotted. I don't know if that garrison gives that much radius of vision there. So this APC engineer going to be moving in. It has been spotted by the looks of it. There are a couple of bikes here to deal with it. APC engineer probably going to be dropped off, looking to grab that Tiberium spike at least to get something away. And maybe put that engineer, try to start getting some cash back for that engineer that was likely going to be lost. I don't know. I mean, that APC may have had enough HP to actually get in range of the refinery, but there was a shredder turret queued as well. So JonyCalcinha just going to be stealing away one of the Tiberium spikes, more than likely going to be grabbed back here by Zoro, but at least it will be slowing down his build. He'll be forced to build a Rax to actually grab that back. Otherwise, JonyCalcinha will be getting his money's worth out of that engineer, and that's not really what Zoro wants to allow to happen, especially so close to his base. But great micro of the harvesters here from Zoro to actually keep that harvester alive. Pretty low on HP, but those pit bulls will get focused down over time here. It looks like they have been forgotten about here by JonyCalcinha. He's going to pull them back now, but I think it's a little bit too late. As actually, that one will survive just a touch longer, just an annoyance. Going to be sitting back there. Those Scorpion tanks going to be sent back to deal with it, and they will manage to clean that up. You can see Zoro is already on the ball, going to be sending that Saboteur down and around the fence to grab that Tiberium spike back. So I don't think JonyCalcinha got his full cash back. He may have gotten it back. It was probably pretty close. I mean, it's 25 credits a second, so he very likely got his money back in that time. But anyways, we'll be seeing JonyCalcinha already expanding down to the bottom right. And he's already got a refinery down here as well. We'll have to see where Zoro chooses to expand, or if he chooses to expand at all. Fast Tib Chem Plant coming out of Zoro, and going to be dropping some seed Tiberium on his own field here. So it looks like he's content with sticking around. Stealth tank out on the field. I'm not sure if there's any more, but it looks like that one stealth tank going to be moving forward. Black Hand Squad going to be able to run its way into the base of JonyCalcinha, and it looks like he's kind of dancing between the garrison and maybe moving into this field. Needs to be real careful with this stealth tank. He's got it on hold fire, and that's a smart move. Does not want to be giving up his position there to JonyCalcinha, but Tiberium Catalyst Missile being called in, only taking out one refinery, didn't even take down a harvester. Stealth tank going to be forced to expose itself there. Second stealth tank going to be joining his buddy up in the top right, and now that's actually a harvester killing force out of Zoro coming in, but it looks like the Black Hand Squad just going to be getting focused down by Predator tanks over time. Again, some more scouting units. Oh, whoa, a couple of Predator tanks managed to make their way down in the base of Zoro, but going to be getting forced back here by the Avatar transition here coming out from Zoro. And JonyCalcinha going to go ahead and cut and run with those guys. A smart decision at this point. MCV still cranking away. More than likely another refinery going to be on the way. Yeah, there it is. So another refinery down. So the eco advantage definitely going to be in favor of JonyCalcinha. The question is, can Zoro even this one up? He's got those stealth tanks out. They do get spotted here. So it looks like both the Orca's ability to detect stealth as well as the radar scan going to be called in. Not going to be able to actually claim either one of those stealth tanks. One will get away with a veteran status, so that's going to be a nice pickup there for Zoro. He definitely wants to start getting some ranks on those stealth tanks. That's when they become a real threat. Looks like the scan coming in here from the Orcas of JonyCalcinha going to be able to claim one of those harvesters, and that's going to be a nice pickup. Huge amount of Predator tanks going to be moving in here with the support of maybe one Rifleman squad to come in and try to clean this base up. And it looks like Zoro has expanded up here, and he's going to be looking to hold the line as he drops an obelisk. Gets a nice power plant block on that obelisk. He should be able to get off another shot before going down. Great building blocking here coming out from Zoro. He's managed to keep his structures alive just long enough. And this one obelisk really, really doing some serious work here as it's getting shot after shot for free. And honestly, if he can just weaken these Predator tanks, I think it will leave him in a very good position here. JonyCalcinha being forced to just take out the garrison for his troubles. And Stealth Tank's going to be just moving in behind these guys. More than likely going to be picking off some more harvesters. I thought maybe for a second they were going to pick off the damaged Predator tanks as they were returning to base, but probably not the best use of those Stealth Tanks. They should be coming in now. It looks like the Stealth Tanks are looking to go Orca hunting, and they need to wait until they are on the deck. So they may actually stick around and wait. No, they're going to chase those guys down. Let's take a look and see what's going on in the middle of the map. Garrison Wars just raging in the middle of the map. Not too much to be worried about there, but Orca's going to be flying over the top of this base. No anti-air to speak of here coming out of Zoro, so could be another harvester going down here. Radar scan comes in, and this harvester going to be getting poked away here, and that should go down. So great Orca harassment here. No, it doesn't go down. Stealth tanks come in. They're going to be able to clean up one of the Orcas, and actually that was the veteran stealth tank as well, so going to be getting some additional crucial ranks on that one. Another Orca going down there. The stealth tank in good position. Should be able to come in and clean up all of these harvesters. There's nothing here to actually defend them. Airfield pretty much useless at this point in time. There's no Orcas on the deck, and they're being dealt with by those stealth tanks. So JonyCalcinha really under the gun here, as Zoro going to be putting a lot of pressure on avatars. A whole line of avatars, huge concave, going to be moving forward here, looking to kill off everything in their path. And the MCB going to be coming forward here for Zoro as well, realizing that he wants to really put the pressure here on JonyCalcinha. He did base creep up to the top. I'm sorry, he has double MCV as well as a crane, so his production is off the chain right now. He has huge amount of resources coming in, as he was just ecoing like a fiend on that field. But looks like Raider Buggy is going to be coming forward to try to deal with the infantry. Needs to deploy the MCV, start getting some obelisks down. That's really the damage that he needs output on this field. Maybe even some shredder turrets to deal with his infantry, as he does have a decent number of those avatars. Avatars now going to be focusing down the harvesters here, and that's exactly what they need to be doing. Operations Center comes down immediately. Could actually sell those both off, and those are great anti-infantry as well, and not before they're being used for the build radius. And this is looking pretty bad here for JonyCalcinha. He calls the GG, and that is going to be it, folks. Zoro going to be taking game number 3 and the series in this best-of-3 series. GG coming in from Zoro as well, and JonyCalcinha has been defeated. Zoro comes through victorious. So, gonna be honest, when we started this series, I really was giving the upper hand to JonyCalcinha, but Zoro really showing that he knows his Tib Wars, and he knows it well, and he's gonna be showing off his stuff. Coming from an 0-1 deficit, back to take 2 games off of JonyCalcinha, and 2 convincing games at that. He will manage to come through victorious in both of those games, and he will take a nice final victory here on Small Town USA. Let's take a look at the resources tab. You can see these guys were pretty equal for a good portion of the game, but JonyCalcinha had a significant advantage because he expanded, whereas Zoro did go for that early tech, but he was able to equalize things and start putting some real harvester harassment down and take out the Orcas that were meant to harvester harass for JonyCalcinha. So once that equalized, you can see Zoro really took off after he got his expansion up and running, put down 4 refineries. Despite losing a number of harvesters to the Orca harassment, he was able to come through victorious. So solid gameplay coming out from Zoro. He will be moving on. Unfortunately, JonyCalcinha going to be dropped out of this tournament as it is a single elimination event, so he will be dispatched. But good effort from him. He put on a good show for us. So we'll be looking forward to seeing him in some future tournaments in the very near future. So that's going to be it for this series. I realize I've rambled on for far too long, but we'll move on into our next series. Maybe get you guys a bracket update, as I would imagine a decent amount of stuff has transpired. Let me just take a quick look. Maybe I can do that for you right now. Let's take a look. So yeah, actually the other side of the bracket, quite a bit has gone down. So I'll go ahead and pop this up. Looks like this side of the bracket that we were on is still underway, but I'll pop this up on the main monitor here. So here we go, the bracket update, and actually, hold on one second. Let's fix this for 1 second. There we go. Go full screen. So let's take a look. Shocktreatment taking a 2-0 over Tiger Expert down in the round of 16, the abridged round of 16 that is, and he's off to face off against Angel of Death. I believe that series is either underway or may have just shortly concluded. But anyways, we did see Zoro facing off against JonyCalcinha. Zoro taking the 2-1 there after going to the ace match. Down below that, Maize took a 2-1 off of We Got the Rockets. A bit closer series than I was expecting. I figured Maize would have edged that one out 2-0. But We Got the Rockets showing that he is a contender nonetheless. So Maize going to be moving on. And down below that, we had Bert taking a 2-0 over Diplodocus. And he will be facing off against Maize. So it is Bert versus Maize here as our first semifinal matchup. And we will be seeing likely Zoro versus the winner of Shocktreatment versus Angel of Death. I'm putting my money on Shocktreatment just because he is a contender for the finals in any tournament, and particularly in Tiberium Wars. So we'll have to see if he is able to edge out Angel of Death. And if not, Angel of Death may be able to make his way into his first finals. We'll have to see. But anyways, that's it for our bracket update. I'll be jumping into our next series here momentarily, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 1 of this best of 5 semifinal series, and that brings us to the map tournament Rift. And sliding over to the left hand side as the blue screen, we have Shocktreatment. And then sliding over to the right hand side, and actually just a quick note before we get over there, we did see a Explorer going to be expanding out to the middle of the map very early for Shocktreatment, but over on the right hand side, his opponent in this series, best of 5 series, as the purple GDI, we have Zoro. So this is game number 1. It's anybody's series here, and Zoro going to be opening up with some cheesy APC engineers, but Shocktreatment going cheesy as well, or rather very risky, as he's opening up with an Explorer into an outpost into a forward warp sphere. So this could signal to Zoro to put some pressure onto the main base of Shocktreatment. We'll have to see, and Shocktreatment smurfing as Shocktopus, so that name fits a little bit better in my scoreboard, so I'm going to throw that one in there. Plus, I like it. Shocktopus is a fun name. But anyways, it will be GDI versus Scrin here, and Shocktreatment, I would give him the leg up. Obviously, he is a very, very good Tiberium Wars player, and we see him usually come out on top in Tiberium Wars tournaments when Bike Rush is not around. But he's just a good contender in pretty much any matchup. But Zoro going to be sending his construction yard forward as a response, and he drops the second refinery on his main field and immediately expands to the middle of the map. So it looks like the pressure is on here, folks. We are going to be seeing a battle for resources here in the middle of the map, as Zoro does not want to give up an inch here in the center, and he will have base defense, or rather, if he continues to move his MCV forward, he should be able to get some base defenses down. But Shocktreatment is already up to tier 2, has those Devourer tanks coming out. He's already charged up one, a second one going to be getting some charge here momentarily. We can see that's happening right now. APC engineers still roaming around the map here. Looks like maybe one of them did manage to get picked off. No, one got away! Okay, so where did that go? Okay, so Zoro managed to grab one of the bottom tib spikes with one of the APC engineers. It looks like his second one will be going down. Yes, that will be going down, unfortunately for him. Rocket squads, or rather missile squads, going to be coming forward here. Not going to really be able to do too much damage to these Devourer tanks. They honestly need to fall back. I understand what he's trying to do here. He's trying to thin the numbers, but it needs to be the Predator tanks on the front lines. They need to be up there doing some damage, and they need to get massed up first. These infantry that are standing on Tiberium, they're getting picked off by the buzzer hives that are being dropped, and this is not looking good so far for Zoro. Shocktreatment trading very, very effectively in this situation and continuing to macro behind that. We can see he's got his refineries up and running on his main field. He hasn't spent too much money on harvesters back here, but he does still have his tier 2 kicking around. Obviously, he wants to be able to build those Devourer tanks. May see a quick tier 3 here, but honestly, I would imagine Shocktreatment's content with just getting out these Devourer tanks. It does not seem like Zoro has an easy answer to this, and the Watchtower is not going to be a good method of dealing with this either. And it looks like Zoro may have to give up on this field here. He has repacked his MCV. Whoa, he's moving forward. Okay, I think that was a misclick. He's going to be sending his MCV back to his main. So Zoro, he's put himself in a bad position here. I thought he had a nice strategy here to move into the middle of the map and then push Shocktopus back. I was going to call him Shocktreatment. But it does not look like he's really got the power to actually stand up against the fast tier 2 here. And honestly, if he had gone for some early harassment, this would have looked like a very different game right now, but it doesn't look like Zoro was able to do that. He opted to go for the more aggressive route and was punished here by Shocktreatment, forcing the MCV back. And it's looking like it's probably going to have to be infantry in response, but I don't think there's really going to be any way of dealing with this stuff. An airfield wouldn't be an awful idea either, but it's very difficult against Scrin to go into the air because their upgrades are just so good, and their anti-air is pretty much in almost every single unit, at least coming out of their warp sphere. So MCV getting pressured now. Charged up Devourer tank's going to be able to mow this one down very, very easily, and that one will be going down for sure. MCV has gone down. Zoro may just want to tap out of this one now. I don't think he's really going to be able to hold on against Shocktreatment. Against another player, maybe, you know, they wouldn't be macroing behind this, but I think Zoro knows Shocktreatment well enough. They've played enough games to know that he is definitely macroing behind this, and it's going to be a very tough road ahead if he's not trading cost effectively, which he is most definitely not at this point in time. Shocktreatment definitely dictating the pace of this game. Rocket squads and Predator tanks going to try to hold the line here, but it's really just a stopgap. until Shock Treatment manages to mow them all down. And it's looking like great micro coming in here from Shock Treatment to use those Gunwalkers to kill off the rocket squads as they come forward. And I think Zoro's just maybe scratching his head trying to figure out what went wrong in this game. No, he does still have a crane, so I thought for a second that his build was gone, but it's not. But it still doesn't change the fact that he's got like 15 Devourer tanks in his base that are just absolutely ripping stuff to shreds. I can't speak. We will be seeing the... It looks like the Gunwalker is going to be coming forward, tanking a bit of the damage. That's what you want them to be doing in this situation anyways. Maybe Zoro's holding out for the fact that these Gunwalkers are eventually going to thin in numbers, but he's going to be sorely mistaken in that respect, as we can see them streaming across the map. If you're looking at the mini-map, they are just coming in force here. Just more and more units coming to the front lines. Whoa! APC Engineer manages to come in, gets the drone ship, and he drops down a barracks. So he's trying to cap out Shock Treatment's base in the meantime. Manages to get the drone ship. That was a great pickup. I completely missed that. Didn't even see the APC Engineer. And Zoro just getting in that cheeky APC Engineer capture. Maybe going to be forcing Shock Treatment to be looking over his shoulder in the next game. So a little bit of mind games there. But I don't think it's going to matter too much. I mean, yes, Zoro does have a build at this point in time. He's got a drone ship as well as screen tech at this point in time. He's got his portal down. He's going to be able to hold the line here for a little while, but it's not going to matter too much because, again, he's lost all of his economy at this point in time, and he's more than likely not even got enough money to even build a refinery at this stage in the game. He's not even queuing anything at this point, so I think he's just looking to add insult to injury here to taking the drone ship here of Shock Treatment, but let's see what else is going on. So it looks like Shock Treatment has managed to completely clean up this original main base. He's just going to sweep back around with the rest of his forces and take a look and see what is going over here on the left-hand side. Should be able to just completely destroy this base once he gets into range. May force Shock Treatment to chase the drone platform for a little while if he opts to... Engineer? APC Engineer is still on the move. Okay, APC Engineer is still a threat here in this game. I was going to say, why is there an engineer? And then an APC comes out from the bottom right of the screen, and it's like, oh, okay. It's not over yet. But APC Engineer going to get focused down very quickly by the Devourer tank. Will he get anything else for his trouble? He needs to drop that Engineer off now. He will get the Tier 2! So if he sells that off, he can at least get some money back, maybe get a refinery down. But honestly, he's being pressured in this base. So the APC Engineer is really doing some work here for Zoro. But I'm not sure how much more it's going to matter. Let's take a look and see. Extractor going to be getting focused down here. I think Shock Treatment's just kind of frustrated at this point in time. He's just like, let's just kill this base and be done with it. I'm done with the APC Engineers. I think he's managed to clean up all the APCs at this stage in the game, so he doesn't have too much to worry about in that respect. Still some weird rally points, those units going over to the far right side of the map. Wouldn't be bad for scouting information, as he definitely has enough to kill this base off, but Harvester goes heroic. What the hell? Heroic Harvester? That's not something you ever see. What is that about? Holy moly. Heroic Harvester. I don't know what it did, but it managed to go heroic. I think it managed to kill off like a ton of disintegrators or something. I don't know. Really bizarre, but it will get away. Not that it's going to matter too much. It looks like Shock Treatment just charging up all of his Devourer tanks just for good measure. Hasn't even been firing with the majority of this army here. And I think these guys are just kind of trolling one another at this stage in the game. Heroic Harvester is still putting up a good fight here, doing almost no damage to these Corruptors, but the final remaining structures here of Zoro are being focused down, and it's looking like Shock Treatment going to be coming through with a sure victory in this game. Definitely took him a lot longer than he probably was hoping, but he will manage to come through victorious nonetheless. So that's going to be it for game number 1. Shock Treatment going to be up 1-0 in this best-of-5 series. And the question is, will the shenanigans coming out from Zoro be good enough in game number 2 to even up this series? We'll know that coming up very shortly, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 2 of this best of 5 series, and that brings us to the map tournament arena. And spawned in the upper left hand corner, the man that had the shenanigans with the APC engineers last game as the yellow scrin, we have Zoro. And sliding down to the bottom right corner, the man that's up 1-0 in this best of 5 series as the cyan scrin, we have Shocktreatment. So it is best of 5, so Zoro can still lose this game and be okay to move on into the next game, but Zoro's definitely going to be looking to even up the series here. It's both a morale thing as well as just ensuring that he doesn't end up at match point for the rest of the series. So I would expect a bit more technical play out of him in this game. We'll have to see what he chooses to do here. Shocktreatment, both of these guys actually opting to go for those early outposts. Pretty standard stuff. Disintegrator manages to survive there, but the outpost survives with just enough HP, especially with the repair tool. Going to be able to get a buzzer hive down to kill off that remaining member of the disintegrator squad. And Shocktreatment going to be able to grab his blue Tiberium expansion with no trouble whatsoever on the other side of the map. No harassment coming out from Zoro. So that means Zoro should be able to get his harvesters out just a touch faster, and will have just a tiny bit more eco, based on the fact that, well, I don't know, it probably equalized after losing some units and having to repair that outpost and having to drop a buzzer hive. Not quite sure. But anyway, Shocktreatment going to be moving in with some seeker tanks here. Going to be looking to put some pressure on this blue expansion, force some kind of a response out of Zoro, and it will be a portal to deal with it. Disintegrator is going to be coming out likely to deal with the seeker tanks. They need to cut and run right now. They don't want to be sitting here taking damage from those disintegrators. And building block coming down in the form of a power plant as well as the buzzer hive. So great placements here coming out from Zoro. I really like the decisions that Zoro's making as far as building placements go. Buzzer Swarm support power already being used, trying to kill off all the disintegrators, but not able to kill off enough. And you can see they almost all went down. I don't know if there was a return Buzzer Swarm support power or if that was just simply the buzzer hive. But these disintegrators, or rather the disintegrators, have managed to clean up all of the seeker tanks, as well as going to be looking to pick off that lightning spike. Or rather, a harvester does go down on the blue Tiberium field, but it did not actually have any blue Tiberium inside of it. So it wasn't too much of a concern to actually see that go down. A little bit unfortunate to see a harvester go down, obviously, but not too much to be worried about. Foundry down on the front lines here for Shocktreatment. He's going to be going for that expansion to the middle of the map. Pretty standard stuff. Zoro needs to get his expansion up and running. It looks like he's actually opting to expand from his blue field instead. He's already dropped a decent amount of infrastructure here. That's going to open him up to a good bit of harassment here in his original main base, so he's going to need to put some pressure here on the middle of the map, and he's already doing that, keeping his seeker tanks positioned here in the center of the map. Shocktreatment could potentially see this and exploit that, really force the battles kind of up and around this area here, where he can reinforce a lot faster than Zoro can while still putting on the pressure. We'll see if he actually acknowledges that. But anyways, Disintegrator is going to be coming in here from Zoro, looking to take out the Tiberium spike of Shocktreatment. He could have sent an assimilator down to actually capture that, but he opted not to do that here in this game. And I can't disagree with that. He's going to be just taking out that additional economy there for Shocktreatment. Not a bad decision whatsoever. But Zoro going to be sending up his seeker tanks. Shocktreatment doing exactly what I thought he would do and try to force this battle up in the top right. But it looks like Zoro has a significant advantage in terms of seeker tank army size, as Shocktreatment did lose a number of those seeker tanks trying to take out some of those harvesters. Disintegrator is going to be coming in here, need to focus down the buzzer hive quickly, and then the subsequent buzzer that's going to spawn once it's killed. So they do manage to kill that off, but another buzzer hive does come down, so it's looking like these disintegrators are going to be getting cleaned up. A lightning spike does come down from Zoro. Nothing really here to deal with the lightning spike. That's going to be forcing probably a seeker tank response or something. Obviously the buzzer's not going to be enough to deal with that. But Disintegrator's going to be continuing to chase away a harvester here. He will get away with about half HP, but the seeker tank army here from Shocktreatment going to be responding to that lightning spike. This is actually an opportunity where Zoro could push in and do some damage. It looks like he's going to actually use this opportunity to harass this blue field. One harvester being pulled off the line straight away, but it looks like oh, Zoro missing an opportunity here. That harvester is full of blue Tiberium. He needs to go in and kill that before it actually docks. And no, he's going to opt to expand, or rather send his forces down here. Gets a nice stasis shield on the tech assembler as well as a tripod, but I don't think it's going to be doing too much. Should be stalling out Shocktreatment's build a little bit as far as his number of tripods at this stage in the game, but I don't think he's going to care too much about that. He's definitely got the advantage in that respect. Harvester's going down now, but there is a tripod here to deal with these Seeker tanks. The Seeker tanks all need to be responding to this one tripod. They can focus it down. If they're all here, they're going to take some losses, but I think it's probably worth it if he manages to get the tripod kill. Not if he sticks around for too long, though. I think he's taken too many losses. And oh, the phase field! Wow, the bait from shock treatment is real. The phase field, great phase field use. Whoa, weird pathing there from that tripod. Doesn't actually manage to take that down, but the phase field, it was used on such a low HP unit that it did manage to get picked off while in phase. So that just goes to show you that the phase field does not make your units invincible. It just does make them very, very durable. But unfortunately, shock treatment going to be losing that tripod nonetheless. So stasis shield is on cooldown here for Zoro. In the meantime, shock treatment does have his own stasis shield available. I don't think we saw that used, at least not yet. And shock treatment going to be moving out with some shock troopers. But Buzzer Swarm support power comes in, gets a lot of shock trooper kills there, and that's actually a really worthwhile Buzzer Swarm support power. Kills a lot of those shock troopers, really eliminates them as a threat. There's only 2 squads, or rather 1 in portion squad left, and they're actually going to be forced back to base. And Seeker Tank's going to be joining this army here for shock treatment, but I think he's realized that he doesn't necessarily want to commit to this side of the map yet. Devastator Warship's coming out for the first time here today, and that's going to be coming out from Zoro. Devourer Tank's going to be moving in here from Zoro. Going to be able to get some nice snipes on the back lines here of shock treatment. He has nothing really to respond to this. Plasma disc launchers on those shock troopers are done. Oh, Mastermind coming in, gets the tech assembler and sells it off. Forces a decent number of sell-off of structures here from shock treatment in the first place just to keep them from being captured. Did he lose his drone ship? No, he did not lose his drone ship, so that is still in possession of shock treatment. But the Mastermind is down. Did force a decent bit of infrastructure sell-off there from shock treatment, and he also got the tech assembler, so that's just going to be setting this build further behind. He's going to be forced to rebuild that, and that will give the tech advantage over to Zoro for the time being. I don't think there is a Mastermind out on the field here for shock treatment, at least not that I've seen yet. And it looks like a decent number of those Devourer tanks from shock treatment trying to return some damage onto this field. Not going to be able to clean up that base. But it looks like Zoro going to be moving out here. He's got those attenuated force fields on the tripods. He's got the advantage, and he should definitely be pressing this advantage right now. Really put some pressure on this field. Just make it difficult for shock treatment to get back up and running. Force him to spend a lot of money on units and just trade ineffectively just to stay alive, so that way when he gets his build back online, it won't be as effective. Pretty good stasis shield coming out from shock treatment. Going to be able to lock down the majority of those tripods. One will still be out and about, but Buzzer's going to be coming in looking to clean up the shock troopers here from Zoro, but not going to be able to do so. Needs to stay in range with these shock troopers, though. He doesn't want to give up these tripods for free. But the tripods should come unshielded here in the near future. There they are. So there's nothing really here from shock treatment to actually stop this. And shock treatment's looking to be in a very tough spot, as he lost a lot of infrastructure when that Mastermind ran through, as he was forced to sell stuff off, just trying desperately to prevent that from going into Zoro's hands. And I can agree with the decision there. Mastermind out from shock treatment, realizing that he wants to start doing some harassment of his own. Not sure what he's going to grab here, but a stasis chamber down on the front lines. Looking like the base creep's going to be coming out from Zoro. Probably going to be looking to... Ooh, actually, the Mastermind being used to grab away one of the Devourer, or rather the Devastator warships. And that's not a bad decision, because those shock troopers would actually focus it down straight away, and that's exactly what they did. Mastermind coming forward now for Zoro. That is alive. Harvester actually glitched out there for a second. But shock troopers versus shock troopers, not something you see very often. They are trading with one another, but there is a huge advantage over to Zoro. But the Annihilator Tripod army here from shock treatment is in pretty decent numbers, but the shield's going to definitely be giving an advantage to Zoro. I take that back. Shields come online at just the right time here for shock treatment, and now the Mastermind's going to be trying to even the score here between these guys. Very, very messy fight here, as we'll actually just kind of change the angle, as we are seeing actually the significant number of shock troopers here coming out from Zoro. Going to be winning this fight pretty hard in his favor. And yeah, all of those tripods do go down, and those could potentially be grabbed back here by Zoro if he sends some assimilators up. But the question is, will he do that? Mastermind's going to be running around pretty much next to each other. That's kind of funny. There's just nothing to really kill those guys off. Buzzer Swarm support power comes in from Shock Treatment. Could have used that on the Mastermind, but he's going to instead use it on the Shock Troopers. That's not the worst idea either. Just take those guys out. Should have probably used that quite a bit earlier, but it may have been off cooldown. Teleport comes in here from the Mastermind, just going to be teleporting assimilators forward. Shock Treatment going to be calling the GG, and Zoro picks up game number 2 and evens up the series 1-1. So just a pretty solid game from both sides. We saw a lot of early aggression coming out from Shock Treatment, not able to pay dividends. Zoro able to punish him for it, and putting that pressure on the blue expansion there of Shock Treatment. He was able to do quite a bit of damage. Granted, it was a great phase field from Shock Treatment to actually get that tripod on phase just as it was about to die. But he just wasn't able to translate that into a victory. Zoro just had significant numbers advantage, and then obviously the Mastermind causing some havoc there when it ran through his base. He just kind of panic sold a bunch of structures. I'm not sure. I'm sure it wasn't a panic sell, but it looked like that to us. I'm not sure what he was selling off. Probably just useless infrastructure, but all the same, it did not work out in his favor. Losing that tech assembler really put him pretty far behind in the race to get number of tripods. And allowed Zoro to really soar up and over the top. So he did manage to come out on top. Eco looks like it was pretty much the same overall. Actually, Zoro had a significant eco advantage for the majority of the game, but it started to equalize towards the end, more than likely as the field started to dry up. But Shock Treatment doing a really great job to stay alive for as long as he did in that game, despite the eco deficit that he had there. But anyways, that's going to be it for that game. That's going to be sending us into game number 3. It's anybody's series here coming up in game number 3, and that's coming up momentarily, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 3 of this best of 5 semifinal series, and that brings us to the map tournament tower. And spawning in the upper left hand corner as the pink screen, we have Shock Treatment. And then sliding down to the bottom right corner as the purple GDI, we have Zoro. So it is anybody's series here, game number 3. It's all tied up 1-1 across the scoreboard here. I'm stumbling over my words, but Shock Treatment looking a bit shaken in that last game. Just he took some serious damage and just wasn't able to recover out of it. Put up a good fight, but well, he's got map choice this time around. Tournament Tower going to be the choice here for him. And the buzzer going to be drawn out of position here. Will he get the kill? No, the buzzer coming out on top there for Shock Treatment, and that's what he wanted to see. And he should be able to get himself an engineer kill as well. So very unfortunate there indeed for Zoro, but nice pickup for Shock Treatment. He's actually got some follow-up buzzers to kill off any additional engineer out to deal with this. And APC, or rather an APC engineer going to be used to grab that Tiberium spike. The question is there an assimilator? No assimilator out from Shock Treatment to just get that first capture bonus back. But anyways, we will be seeing the center tower structure going over to Zoro, at least for the time being, until Shock Treatment can get some build radius in that area where he'll just drop a buzzer hive and kill that squad pretty quickly. But Shock Treatment going for the standard build here, going to be expanding into his expansion field, as that didn't make a whole lot of sense, but I just had to clear my throat there for a second. But yeah, going to be going for the typical expand, fast expand to the middle of the map, wants to get that eco up and running on that field very quickly. Zoro, on the other hand, opting to drop his second refinery on his main field. That's an interesting choice, especially since he's got the tower. I would have thought that he would continue to press that map control advantage. Whoa, what's going on here? Oh, okay, I forgot my key bindings changed. But anyways, yeah, I did that so that way I can kind of pan around a little bit easier. I completely forgot that I did that. But anyways, we will be seeing Seeker tanks moving forward from Shock Treatment. Going to be doing a little bit of... Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Okay, so they had a garrison buzzer, or rather a combined buzzer. So just going to be taking out that garrison in the center of the map. He should be able to grab that away, actually. It's not a bad idea to just snag that up. Get some nice vision radius to see what is coming your way, and may actually just draw some fire as well. Harvester taking a lot of damage here. Could actually go down. Should have been pulled off the line here from Zoro quite a while ago, but will not actually be pulled, and I don't think it actually managed to get any of that Tiberium into the refinery there before it went down. So definitely a worthwhile trade there for Shock Treatment. I think he lost maybe 1 or 2 Seeker tanks for a full load of green Tiberium and a Harvester. Definitely going to be hashtag worth, but we will be seeing some follow-up Seeker tanks. Going to be looking to come back in with the assistance here of the Lightning Spike, just going to be adding insult to injury to this field. It looks like Zoro did manage to grab himself that bottom tip spike. A simulator forgotten about here by Shock Treatment, needs to get that one into the Tiberium Spike just to be put to good use, or maybe that's going to be used to capture some structures later on. We'll have to see what he opts to do in that situation, but refinery being forced to be sold off there. So many harvesters have gone down. That Lightning Spike really causing problems here. There's just no real answer to them. Seeker tanks getting focused down first just because they're so much easier to focus down, so much less armor than the Lightning Spike, and honestly they do a comparable amount of damage, so it's not really beneficial to focus down the Lightning Spike first. But now that will get focused down over time. Predator tanks really need to sit here and just finish that one off. It actually looks like the rocket squads will be enough to focus that one down. Tiberium Spike has been captured here for Shock Treatment. It looks like he's put that assimilator back to good use. Engineer out on the front lines, not sure what that's for. Maybe you're going to be looking to repair a structure or something. I'm not sure what the engineer is for, really. But Seeker tank's just going to be causing havoc here for Zoro on the back side of things as they're just kind of running through the space. They're getting quite a bit of vision, as well as just poking some damage onto some random buildings and units. Getting a fair bit of damage onto that Harvester, actually, bringing it down below half HP. And that one Seeker tank going to get away, maybe one shot away from death. But the GDI Logistics Center in control of Shock Treatment. And he's going to be expanding forward, has double Warp Sphere, drops into airfield on the front lines as well, or rather a gravity stabilizer. Probably going to be Devastator warships coming out on the front lines, as we do see Tier 3 is done for him. He does have Stasis Shield available as well, as we see that Stasis Chamber on the back side of things. So I could be seeing that plopping down on one of these armies here in the near future as he pushes forward and just solidifies a victory. We'll have to see what he chooses to use that on. Mastermind would not be a bad idea either. Maybe send that one down around the sides. A simulator coming in here from Shock Treatment. The question is, will it get crushed? Zoro definitely sees it and he's trying to deal with it. No, he's not going to be able to crush it. Doesn't get the shots off in time. And it looks like he was actually force firing on the ground to try to kill that, but Shock Treatment will manage to grab that Tiberium Spike back, despite Zoro sending an engineer down to grab it. A Mastermind is out on the field here for Shock Treatment, so that is a threat that Zoro will have to respond to. And actually it looks like Zoro's managed to capture the top Tiberium Spike as well, more than likely an APC engineer, or maybe that's what the engineer that was out here earlier went off and did. But anyways, tripods on the front lines, Devastator warships sitting over the back side of things. They have Buzzer Swarm support power, or rather 2 Buzzer Hives just sitting back there. Going to be looking to defend those forces, but the tripods are running forward. There's really nothing to answer these tripods. Not sure where the forces of Zoro are at this point in time. They're actually sitting way far back. They need to get up on the front lines and start trading out with these tripods. It's a risky proposition, though, because the Devastator warships are just getting pretty much free shots. Anti-air battery on the back lines, not going to be doing anything and actually getting focused down by the Devastator warships. That's an unfortunate situation. Harvester are going to be getting immediately eliminated there, and the rest of these Harvesters will be going down. It looks like one is managed to be pulled off the line, or is just on an auto return to refinery there. I would imagine it's just an automatic movement there coming out from Zoro. So it's looking like Zoro wants to go for some kind of a base trade here, as he's going to be sending the entire force that he has up and around the outskirts of the map Question is, will this be able to work? I don't think it will. Okay, so I see what he's doing. He's got his MCV on the move. I was going to say the only way this works is if he's got his MCV with him and he's running around with it, but there is a tripod here in the base of Shock Treatment to try to keep his stuff alive here, so that's going to be a difficult force to contend with, as well as a Mastermind, something that can deal with pretty much any unit at any point in time. Huge force here from Zoro, not doing absolutely anything, and they need to be coming in and doing something, because meanwhile Shock Treatment is just absolutely destroying this base. Shields come online now for him as well, just making those tripods even more difficult to deal with. And I think there is still a couple of tripods here out from Shock Treatment to deal with this force. And yeah, the tier 3 versus tier 1 units here really coming out in favor of Shock Treatment in this one. He's taking some losses here. He's losing some tripods, but honestly, it's not going to matter a whole lot because he has absolutely nothing left. He being Zoro, the only thing that he's got left is his MCV in the top right corner of the map, as he loses his last Harvester and pretty much his last units here to the remaining forces here of Shock Treatment in his base. Remember, Stasis Shield is still available, but Zoro not going to drag this one out any longer, goes ahead and sells up his MCV, and that is going to be it for game number 3. Shock Treatment taking the game, and I was going to say and the series, but it's not the series yet. That is just putting him up 2-1 in this best of 5 series. So it is match point here for Shock Treatment coming up in game number 4, and that's going to be coming up momentarily, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 4 of our best of 5 semifinal series, and that brings us to the map Barstow Badlands. And sliding over to the left hand side as the purple GDI, we have Zoro. And the man that's up 2-1 over on the right hand side as the cyan GDI, we have Shock Treatment. So map choice going over to Zoro this time around, opts to go for Barstow Badlands. He's looking to make something happen here in this game. Engineer is going to be fighting for that center Tiberium spike. Pretty standard stuff here, and a very forward rifleman squad coming out from Zoro. Going to be able to get himself a nice bunker. Should be able to kill that engineer. Oh, it's so close. He will get it. Oh, the miss micro. Oh my god. Shock Treatment almost lost that engineer. So very close. But he does manage to get the first capture on the Tiberium Spike there, and now it looks like Zoro is just waiting for his APC likely to come in and grab that engineer. And will we see any response coming out from Shocktreatment? I doubt it. It looks like there are some APC engineers out on the move here for Shocktreatment. He's going to be sending one up the middle and one up the top side of the map, so Zoro needs to be careful here. He doesn't want to lose one of his refineries. It could potentially be going down. I don't think he's got anything to respond to it. More than likely just more harvesters on the way here for Zoro at this point in time. He's likely seen the APC engineer at this stage in the game. That harvester comes out. It looks like that's probably going to be a pit bull, but it's going to be too little too late. Something's going to be going down here. The question is, what is it going to be? Is it going to be the War Factory? Is it going to be the refinery? Forces the sell-off of the War Factory, so that's going to be slowing down the build here from Zoro quite a bit. Zoro already on the move for his expansion. Likewise, we see the same thing coming out from Shocktreatment, going to be expanding up to the top of the map. So no early fight for expansions here, but still fighting over the center Tiberium Spike. Shocktreatment finally manages to capture that one away from Zoro after Zoro grabbed it back from him. So just continual slugfest over that Tiberium Spike in the center of the map. The only Tiberium Spike on the map, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only tip spike on the entire map, so a very crucial thing to hold if you can hold it. But anyways, we will be seeing Shocktreatment going to be expanding up to the top side of the map. Zoro a bit behind. He did lose his War Factory, so he does not have any units out on the field, and the question is, will Shocktreatment abuse this and have APCs or pit bulls out to continue to put pressure on it? Looks like he does have an APC engineer on the move down to the south. Likely realizes that Zoro's expanded down here, and that's exactly what's happened. He's actually got a nice scout here in this garrison, so both sides actually have good scouts and can see what's going on in their opponent's base. But oh, APC engineer comes in from Zoro, grabs the refinery, the forward refinery here from Shocktreatment. Very unfortunate indeed, but Zoro's going to be feeling really good about that. He actually gets his money back for his engineer. APC engineer coming in, going to be forcing the pack up of the MCV here. May actually force the sell-off, or no, the capture coming out from Shocktreatment. So APC engineers coming in. Zoro not happy with the way things are turning out right now, but that is okay. War Factory now in possession of Shocktreatment. The question is, will he try to abuse this? APC just sitting here waiting. Predator tank's going to be coming out on the front lines. So Shocktreatment's going to be putting the pressure here. And meanwhile, looks like Shocktreatment has managed to batter down the refinery of Zoro. I'm not quite sure what happened to that refinery, if it managed to get captured back there by Shocktreatment or what have you, but question marks coming out from Zoro, to say the least, and he's getting pressured really, really hard here, and this may, in fact, be game right here. I don't know if he's got another War Factory. He does. He's got more APCs, or rather more engineers coming out as well. Very interesting. That Tiberium Spike looking to be captured again. Walking Engineer should just be able to walk up and grab that, no problem. Walking Engineer heading down to the south, not sure where he's headed. But huge Predator tank army here on the front lines for Shocktreatment, not to mention that he's got War Factory support from that stolen War Factory of Zoro. Now the MCV getting pressured really hard, and it looks like that should be going down. There's just too many Predator tanks here to hold the line with any sort of units here. But yeah, it looks like he's actually stalled for cash as well, so adding insult to injury. Okay, Orca's coming out here from Zoro. An interesting transition, maybe a bit too late. Oh, okay, so an engineer inside of the Ox transport. Where's that going to go? He's looking for an opportunity to grab a free structure here. If he drops it like maybe right in here, he should be able to grab the refinery away, but doesn't look like that's going to happen. And 2 watchtowers going to be dropped around the perimeter of this this construction yard. So Shocktreatment, he knows that there's an engineer inside of that V-35 Ox transport. He does not want to lose any structures to that whatsoever. Potentially snag away a War Factory here, but I would imagine the APC should be able to focus that down quickly enough. They may actually focus down the Ox transport before it's able to deploy, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And now the Predator tank's going to be roaming into the base here of Zoro. Orca's trying to do work, but they only managed to get off 1 volley before going down. And now the sell-up comes in from Zoro, and that's going to be it. Shocktreatment comes through with a clutch victory here in game number 4 to clean up the series 3-1. So pretty solid game there coming out from Shocktreatment. It was looking like it was going to be a nice even fight between these guys, but Shocktreatment getting a really early APC engineer into the base of Zoro, forcing the sell-off of his War Factory, and almost lost his refinery as well. But Shocktreatment just able to get another APC engineer down into the expansion of Zoro even while he was further behind, and managed to grab a war factory there and just put so much pressure on Zoro that he wasn't able to come out and defend himself. So very solid gameplay coming out from Shocktreatment. Only dropped one game so far in that series, and I think that may have been his only game lost today. I'm not sure how his series with Angel of Death went, but anyways, with that said, that's going to be it for our semifinal series here. That's going to take us into the finals. I'll give you guys a bracket update as well. Let me just save this replay real quick, and I'll actually go ahead and jump right into that right now. Let's see if I can type properly. Game 4, there we go. Okay, so let's take a look at the bracket. There we are. So here we have the bracket. Let's take a look and see how things have transpired. So looking from the quarterfinals here, we did have Shocktreatment taking a 2-0 over Angel of Death. We saw Zoro taking out JonyCalcinha 2-1 in his series. Maize taking a 2-1 over We Got the Rockets, and Bert taking a 2-0 over Diplodocus. Meanwhile, we did see Shocktreatment take a 3-1 over Zoro, and on the other side of the bracket, Maize took a 3-0 over Bert, just absolutely eliminating Bert, a good player as well. So very interesting to see Maize doing so well. And he's only dropped one game so far today, and that was to We Got the Rockets. Meanwhile, Shocktreatment has only dropped one game to Zoro, so both of these guys aren't undefeated heading into the finals, but it will be Shocktreatment versus Maize here for our best of 7 final series, and that's coming up momentarily, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Alright, so I've stopped the music because I've been looking for an opportunity to actually play this song just because I found it and it's hilarious. And I'm going to use this opportunity now. I realize it's kind of out of place, but just to kind of commemorate all of the sneaky APC engineers coming out of nowhere, we'll give you guys a little bit of a tribute song to those guys. And I'll see if you guys get the reference. I'm sure you will, but here it is anyways. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 1 of our best of 7 final series, and that brings us to Coastline Chaos, and spawning in the upper left hand corner after laughing about the John Cena tribute to the engineers. I'm sorry, I hope you guys enjoyed that, but spawning in the upper left hand corner as the blue GDI, we have Shocktreatment. And then sliding down to the bottom right hand corner of this very, very long map as the cyan GDI, we have Maize. So, best of 7 game number 1. And we're going to be kicking off on Coastline Chaos. These guys, a bit surprised maybe at the map choice here for the finals, but I'm liking it nonetheless. Maybe seeing something a little bit more original out of these guys. And, well, original is what it's going to be. A very forward War Factory coming out immediately from Shocktreatment. I don't know if it's been spotted yet, but APC Engineer already halfway across the map here for Shocktreatment. Maize, in the meantime, he's got time to respond to this. Should be seeing some pit bulls out, and it's going to be pit bulls indeed. Is there an APC Engineer of his own out? Yes, APC Engineer of Maize is already out. More than likely on its way up to grab a Tiberium Spike, but Shocktreatment's going super aggro, going to be sending that Engineer down to grab some structures, maybe put some pressure on that MCV, just force it to stay unpacked. Oh, and actually, I think that's exactly what he's going to do. That's all he has to do. Just stick with his MCV. He can't unpack that MCV. This is a really interesting strategy. I don't know that I've ever seen this before. Oh, mine drop, too. That was actually a fair bit of damage out on that MCV. So, oh, Pitbull's driving over the top of it as well. And, okay, so maybe just trying to force the Pitbull to take damage there. Interesting pathing there from Shocktreatment, but Forced out a response there from Maize. Very interesting to say the least. Pitbulls were out fast enough, though, so that MCV wasn't just unpacked for ages. But anyways, the forward War Factory, it's looking like it's paid dividends here for Shocktreatment early on. No early aggression coming out from Maize to actually counter this, as he could have got into this field and really done some serious work. But it's a long rush distance, so it's a bit tough to say. And people are saying, "You who, Sparty, are you there?" Yes, I'm here, folks. I'm here. I'm here. Don't you worry. I don't usually respond to live chat during games just because people watching the VODs don't really care too much for that. But anyways, Harvester's going to be taking a bit of damage here from Maize, as we will be seeing a number of Predator tanks here out from Maize, going to be putting a decent amount of pressure here. So this is interesting. He's actually kind of spread damage out on a couple of different Harvesters here. One Harvester actually being pulled way off the line. He's being sent all the way back to base. I don't know about that decision. Could have just sat back at his War Factory and gotten back to work pretty shortly. But anyways, the Predator tanks here from Maize going to be pulling back, and Shocktreatment, he's going to continue to mine away on that field. Looks like infantry being called in here from Maize. I don't know if they've actually been dropped off just yet. I don't think they have. It looks like they're probably being dropped here. Yes, it looks like infantry going to be called in onto the front lines, and I can't remember what the support power is called, but brings in veteran infantry squads, 2 riflemen and 2 missile squads, all veteran. And it's looking like Shocktreatment is just content with harvesting on this main field, just 3 harvesters, 2 refineries. Going to be getting a decent amount of income there, but Maize has got a huge force that's looking to put on the pressure here on the right-hand side of the map. And Shocktreatment going to be under some fire here. Orca's out on the map here for Shocktreatment. Very interesting choice indeed. And it looks like he's actually base creeping back to a safer expansion here. This is actually what we see. A noob like myself would expand to this field first, whereas these guys know. It's like if you don't expand to the center of the map first and start eating up some of this luscious green Tiberium in the middle, you're in a bad position. 2 harvesters getting annihilated right there on the front lines. A 3rd harvester going to be going down. Definitely not going to have enough time to run. Shocktreatment taking a lot of economy damage here. Doesn't have superior numbers either, so his Predator tanks are going to get picked off over time. And it's looking like a couple of his Predator tanks actually focusing down infantry, so Shocktreatment making some crucial micro mistakes in this situation, but Maize also has the better macro in this particular instance as well, and he's just continuing to put the pressure here on the front lines of Shocktreatment. But Shocktreatment, he does have the Orcas over the top of things, and there's just no answer to these guys on the front lines. Rocket squads on the back line is going to be trying to get some damage down onto those Orcas as they cut and run, but there's just not enough of them. And now we will be seeing the missile squads joining the fight here from the top side of the map. Maize losing quite a number of those missile squads to a single watchtower, as well as some rifleman squads that have been coming out here from Shocktreatment, but they will be beaten back here. So Shocktreatment, he's taken a huge hit on his eco on this field. Needs to get some refineries rebuilt. Sorry, I've had to clear my voice way more often than I usually do. But anyways, Orca is going to be flying around. Just going to be that harassment from Shocktreatment. Looks like maybe they're... Okay, so they were flying over the water there. A smart move by Shocktreatment, just going to be flying over the water just to try to deny those guys getting spotted. Unfortunately, one gets shot down straight away without actually doing any damage whatsoever, so a completely lost Orca there. It looks like a crane has been dropped here. We do have... actually, the crane's been around for a while, and obviously Shocktreatment does still have his MCV around, so double refinery is probably going to be getting dropped on that main field. He does have some harvesting on that back green field. Meanwhile, Maize doesn't have anything on this green field, so he will be able to expand back there once he gets into a different position here. But we do have Firehawks out on the field here for Maize. Probably an anti-air loadout, just going to be looking to deal with those Orcas. And that's a very smart choice indeed. But actually, they wouldn't be an awful option as far as some further harassment here, because they can just fly in, bomb the refineries, or at least force them to be shielded. Actually, I don't know if shields are a thing here in Tiberium Wars. Good God, I should know this stuff, but I don't. I don't think that... I think it is. Ah, God, I don't know. I go back and forth. I'm not sure. I don't think they are, now that I think about it. Sniper teams are most definitely a thing, as they're going to be coming forward and looking to just clean up any infantry that are out of position here. And a very smart move to get those sniper teams out on the field, and it looks like they are just drafted sniper teams. No support power is being used for that, but airfield is still kicking around, but air superiority definitely going over to Maize when he has that full deck of Firehawks. Not being used just yet. One is veteran, so most likely picked off a couple of a couple of those orcas flying around. It looks like the refinery has been powered down at the main, and everything else being transitioned up here for Maize. Infantry being called out on the... Oh, no, those... Is it infantry or is that bloodhounds? It's definitely infantry being called out on the front lines, but there are sniper teams sitting on the back lines just going to be killing off whatever infantry they can get their hands on, and their reach is pretty significant. So this is getting pretty messy for Maize here. I don't think this is the engagement that he really wanted to take. I think he's trying to press forward to get this base push on and use those juggernauts, but it's looking pretty bad. He's lost a huge amount of his forces for really no gain. He's granted, he's grabbed the middle of the map pretty securely, but now there are Predator tanks in his base, and they're doing some damage to his harvesters. He needs to be careful about that. Sniper team's being called in by the looks of it by Maize, and we'll have to see where they end up going. More than likely just going to be out to try to deal with the rocket squads. Looks like actually Grenadier squad's out as well to try to deal with any garrisons, and just obviously very good against infantry as well. But now it's going to be an artillery war here as the juggernauts from both sides going to be trying to fire on these forces, but actually Maize managed to clean up one of the harvesters here of shock treatment. Will he get another one? He should not be able to get another one. The infantry are going to rush forward here. And this is actually a really great choke point. If Maize realizes that he should be firing all of his juggernauts onto this area, he'll be getting suppression as well as a tremendous amount of splash damage on all those infantry. Sniper teams just continuing to kind of trade forces here, but sniper teams from Maize way too far forward on their own, and they all get picked off. Very unfortunate. So that entire sniper team call-in getting immediately annihilated, and now the base killing force here from shock treatment is rushing forward. That's the scary thing about these Grenadier squads, but great juggernaut shots going to be able to clean up all of those forces and force the remaining infantry to actually fall back here. So shock treatment, he does have juggernauts out in response. There's only a few of them though, or I'm sorry, he has 5. Firehawks coming back from a bombing run on something, not quite sure what they hit. They may actually be harassing back here. No, it doesn't look like they hit anything back here either. Not sure what shock treatment really hit. Did he hit tier 3? I have no idea where those Firehawks were. Completely lost track of them. Bloodhounds being called in as well, but it's looking like a bit of a juggernaut battle. Harvesters being brought in. What? Those harvesters have a lot of Tiberium in them as well. Maize getting a bit desperate here to actually draw fire. This is kind of interesting. Maybe just trying to get his juggernauts into position to be able to do some damage here. But Firehawks flying over the top of all these rocket squads, taking a lot of damage. They do manage to take down the barracks, but Maize is actually going to go ahead and call the GG, and that's going to be it for game number 1. Not sure if something happened that I didn't see, maybe an APC engineer capture, but that's going to be it for game number 1. Shock treatment going to be up 1-0 so far in this best of 7 series. Let me just take a look and see what happened. See if I can kind of discern what happened here. Yeah, very strange. So, I mean, shock treatment, he had an eco advantage despite being pushed off of that field for a time. Maize not really capitalizing on his aggression and really pushing pushing shock treatment completely off of that field and securing it for himself, or expanding back to his other green field. So maybe he was just feeling the pressure there in terms of eco, and obviously you took a couple of bad trades, and that can really turn the game against you for sure. As we can see, Maize actually had the better unit kill-death ratio, interestingly enough. I think shock treatment just built a lot of infantry, whereas Maize spent a lot of his money on tanks and whatnot. But yeah, that's going to be it for this game. Let's see, structures captured. Is that a thing? It's not, unfortunately. I was hoping that maybe like structures captured would show up and it would like, oh yeah, it does. Okay, so shock treatment managed to capture 2 enemy structures, so maybe he did grab an APC engineer at the end of the game. I'm not quite sure, but anyways, not going to dwell on that one for too long. Maize losing that game number 1, so shock treatment's up 1-0 in his best of 7 series. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 2 of our best of 7 final series, and that brings us to the map Tournament Tower. And spawning on the left hand side as the orange GDI, we have Shocktreatment. And the man that's down 0-1 in this series, down in the bottom right corner and actually losing out on the garrison in the center of the map as the cyan GDI, we have Maize. So let's take a look and see what we have transpiring here. So the fight for the center garrison, the center tower for which the name, or rather the map is named, Shocktreatment going to be winning out, getting his rifleman squad there just a touch faster. So going to be able to win out in that scouting war in the middle of the map. So meanwhile, both of these guys grabbing their Tiberium spikes very comfortably on either side of the map. We can see Shocktreatment's managed to grab his on the top side. Interestingly enough, Maize opting to send a couple of missile squads here. Maybe going to be looking to jump into one of these garrisons, take out any APC engineer that's on its way down here to grab this Tiberium spike away. And interestingly enough, that's exactly what's on its way. So Maize reading this one like a book. He needs to get those missile squads inside of one of the garrisons here to avoid them being picked off here by the APC, but he'll most likely do that once he sees the battle markers there. APC engineers here from both players going to be spotting one another and just trading a little bit of damage, but both will know that they are there. Meanwhile, the rocket squads have been jumped into the garrison structure. APC engineer actually pulled off the line there from Shocktreatment. He doesn't want to continue to move into that, but APC engineer from Shocktreatment manages to grab the war factory there away from Maize, and he now has control of that. Chooses not to sell it off straight away, interestingly enough. APC trying to draw some fire there, but unfortunately the engineer not being microed quickly enough, and Maize will actually... Maize throws in the towel! Holy smokes, I don't know about that one, folks. Maybe just a bit frustrated, but that's going to be it for game number 2. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I guess he lost his war factory, wasn't able to grab the engineer into the Tiberium spikes, so he was really in a bad spot. He spent some money on some rocket squads, so Maize would have been in a really bad position for the rest of that game. So I guess I can understand and sympathize with the decision to quit out. Definitely seems a bit preemptive. He could have pulled that one out, but maybe just wanted to get that one, the frustrations of that game, out of the way. 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock, an amazingly fast game. Maize just not willing to continue on and throws in the towel. So that's going to be putting Shocktreatment up 2-0 in his best of 7 series. Still anybody's series. It's first of 4 wins. So Maize is definitely behind right now, but he has an opportunity to come back. So we'll have to see what he does in game number 3, and that's coming up momentarily, everybody. So be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 3 of our best of 7 final series, and that brings us to the map Small Town, USA. And spawning down in the bottom left corner as the cyan nod, we have Maize. And then in the upper right hand position as the purple Scrin, the man that's up 2-0 in this best of 7 series, we have Shocktreatment. So 2-0 in favor of Shocktreatment, a very, very fast game number 2. In that last game, Maize losing a lot to some early engineer mishaps. Shocktreatment managing to grab that war factor away from him, as well as stopping his engineer capture of his own Tiberium spike. So very, very big struggles for Maize in that game, and unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately enough for him, he decided to just throw it in instead of try to frustratingly battle that one out. So I can't disagree with the decision there. It was definitely a bad start. And it's just a tough position to be stuck in, especially against a good player, where you know they're not going to make a tremendous number of mistakes, or at least you don't think they will. So maybe just best to move on, and that's exactly what he's done here. But this game looking so far to just be kind of eco-based. Doesn't seem to be anything too crazy coming out of these guys. It looks like Maize is going to go ahead and base creep up towards the top left corner of the map as opposed to the bottom right. And he's going to be going hard eco here in this game, maybe expecting Shocktreatment to do the same thing. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. Shocktreatment opting to go for the expansion route down to the bottom right, and he's got a decent number of disintegrators out, a couple of seeker tanks out as well, so lots of early units here, maybe expecting some kind of aggression out of Maize. I'm not quite sure why there's all of this aggressive units coming out from Shocktreatment right now, especially tier 1 units. Very interesting against the Nod faction. But anyways, will be able to grab himself the garrison structure here, see that he's actually base creeping up towards the top left, and that may actually signal to Shocktreatment to put some pressure here, and that's exactly what he's going to do. Very, very smart move here coming in from Shocktreatment. So maybe he saw this earlier on, and he just wanted an opportunity to capitalize on it. Getting that scouting here in this structure just kind of signals to him that he can put the pressure on in a significant way. Stasis shield comes down, and Maize is probably extremely frustrated right now. He's got a huge number of disintegrators as well as seeker tanks in his base. Luckily, they're all kind of spreading fire onto different targets. Now the focus firing is coming in. They're actually going to target down the harvesters that are docking. That's a smart move. That's the money that's actually going straight into the coffers here of Maize. Flame tank comes out on the front lines. That immediately has to be killed off, or else there's going to be huge damage. It does get picked off straight away. So that was actually a really clutch stasis chamber, or rather stasis shield. Maize dropping an obelisk, so fast tier 3 behind this. He should be able to hold the line with the assistance of the Black Hand Squad against all of the infantry, and then the obelisk against the seeker tanks. So lots and lots of early pressure here coming out from Shocktreatment. It definitely did some work here for him, and it's definitely paid dividends. But the question is, will he be able to keep that up? Maize is already up to tier 3. And what is Shocktreatment up to in the meantime? He's got his tier 2 down, so wouldn't be surprised to see Devourer tanks. Those would not be a bad idea, honestly, I think, against all these forces, especially against flame weaponry. Devourer tanks with a superior range, they should be able to pick those guys off before they can really get into range and do some serious work. But Avatar is going to be coming out here from Maize, so more than likely going to be a tech up to tier 3 for Shocktreatment as well. Going to be getting into that tripod production, pretty standard for Scrin play. Won't likely be seeing any Mechapeds or anything like that. Shocktreatment going to be sending his seeker tanks down to the bottom side of the map, most likely just trying to cut off any units that are headed into his expansion. And actually he's got a decent sized force down here. He can put some pressure on this Tiberium spike, a smart move. And Maize needs to get down here and try to defend it. That one Avatar can do quite a bit of damage, but will probably lose out against that number of seeker tanks. I would imagine he'd take a fair few seeker tanks with him, because I think he two-shots those seeker tanks. He's definitely in range to get another shot off. Yeah, that Avatar would absolutely rip through those seeker tanks. So smart move there from Maize, or rather from Shocktreatment, to not continue to commit into that. Just trying to kill off an upgraded power plant, but forces an obelisk drop on the back side of his base. And Shocktreatment probably feels pretty good about that. Yes, he's losing seeker tanks, but he's forcing out the base defenses to be dropped in very awkward positions, not where he really wants them to be. But we did see Tib Chem plant down. Tiberium Catalyst Missile going to be called in, going to be able to kill off 2 refineries. No harvesters going down because Scrin harvesters don't actually die to that for some reason. I'm not sure if it's because they're treated as air units or what have you, but they do not die to that for whatever reason when they're docked. But Tiberium Vapor Bomb going to be called in as well, so lots and lots of one-clicks being called in here. And that's actually the majority of the build there for Shock Treatment down in this expansion. Does still have his Stasis Chamber, does have an Extractor down here as well. Actually has 2 Extractors, so he's definitely still alive down here. So his eco is still up and running, and the question is, can he get his infrastructure rebuilt quickly enough to actually respond to the forces that are headed his way? So avatars as well as some infantry going to be running into this field, and it looks like the MCV going to be on the move here for Maize into this base as well. And we have a lightning spike down as well as some seeker tanks going to be moving into this expansion here from Maize. Smart move, put some pressure on the other side of the map, force Maize to respond to this, and maybe take a little bit of pressure here off of this push that Maize is putting on Shock Treatment. Mastermind comes out on the front lines, takes quite a bit of damage before it's able to do anything, and unfortunately isn't able to grab anything. And maybe grabbing an avatar in that situation wouldn't have been the worst situation in the world, but Shadow Team's being brought in on the front lines. One drops down, but the other one is still up in the air. I think that may have been a miss, Micro. But Maize is looking to be in actually pretty good shape right now. He's doing quite a bit of damage, and not sure where the Shadow Teams are, but they can definitely come in and start bombing down some structures. They can take out those extractors a lot faster if they actually use the bombs. But no, Buzzer's actually coming in, and I think they managed to kill off both of those squads, interestingly enough. Wow, so yeah, so GG coming in from Shock Treatment, despite the fact that he managed to pick off those Shadow Teams. It's just going to be too much pressure coming in from Maize, and that's going to be it for Shock Treatment. Maize going to be picking up game number 3 and probably feeling a bit better about his chances here in this series. Going to be bringing the score back a little bit more manageable here. 2-1 in favor of Shock Treatment now, but definitely a nice way to bounce back from that previous game where he was dispatched very, very early on. So only 6 minutes and 59 seconds on the clock for this one. Very quick games here today. We haven't really seen anything too crazy. Shock Treatment, despite having the eco advantage, Maize was just able to powerhouse through and just had his forces in the right position. Shock Treatment not able to respond quickly enough and was forced off of that field. Took so much damage in that trade that he just wasn't able to press on. So Maize is going to be taking that game, and that's going to be sending us into game number 4, everybody. And that's coming up momentarily, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 4 of this best of 7 final series, and that brings us to Downtown Dust Bowl. Spawning the top side of, actually I'm sorry, it's Tournament Dust Bowl, what am I talking about? As the purple GDI, we have Shock Treatment. Then down in the bottom side of the map as the Cyan GDI, we have Maize. So Shock Treatment versus Maize, 2-1 in favor of Shock Treatment right now. We've seen the GDI mirrors go over in favor of Shock Treatment. I think there was 2 of those earlier today, and we definitely saw them favoring Shock Treatment, so very interesting that we'd see this again here. I'm pretty sure these guys went random for every game so far, so it's just the luck of the draw. Not that Maize is not good at GDI, but it's just been favoring Shock Treatment so far today. We'll have to see if he can keep up that streak and maybe come through with a victory here in this game, put himself at match point. That's what Shock Treatment's really looking for here in this game. If he loses this game, it's going to put Maize back on the map and even these guys up. So this is a big morale game for both sides of the coin here. Both of these guys are really, really looking to take this game with the victory. But anyways, just going to be some early garrisons here, going to be grabbed by both sides, and APC engineers out to grab the Tiberium spikes. It looks like Shocktreatment going to be sending his APC engineer down here. Going to be losing that APC, but going to be grabbing himself the Tiberium spike, so definitely hashtag worth. But on the left-hand side, Maize returns the favor and sends an APC to grab that Tiberium spike away, despite the fact that there were 2 foxholes there. Actually, that foxhole is de-garrisoned, so more than likely that squad being sent towards the center of the map. Or maybe just built another one, I'm not quite sure. But anyways, it looks like another engineer coming out here from Maize. Probably the same thing out from Shocktreatment, I would imagine. He's got another APC. I don't see another engineer. Okay, so another engineer's on the way. So these guys are just going to keep trading Tiberium spikes. This is kind of interesting. And what would have been really good is if one of them had dropped like a minefield around the Tiberium spike. Like maybe dropped a minefield in and around this area so that way when Shocktreatment comes back in to grab this, that engineer jumps out, or the APC drives over it and just immediately gets blown up. It would have been an interesting strategy, but anyways, these guys are just going to trade Tiberium spikes once again. And yeah, Shocktreatment going to do the exact same thing. So these guys spending a lot of money on engineers, but it's okay. I mean, they're getting their money's worth out of it. They're getting their Tiberium spikes back, and I think that's probably going to be the last trade that we're going to see of those engineers as these guys start to settle down into their builds and really start focusing more on unit production. They've got their eco up and running. Okay, I thought for a second there that was a refinery being sold off immediately, which would have been really odd. Engineer being sent, a walking engineer being sent up to the top right. This is risky. Where's that going? Okay, so there it is. APC engineer. Okay, so no, Maize is definitely wanting to send an engineer up here. Okay, Maize, or rather Shocktreatment, very smart, drops a minefield. Okay, so exactly what I thought he would do. I haven't actually seen people do that, but I'm glad to see that I wasn't talking completely out of my butt on that situation. But anyways, Pitbull is going to be taking out some Pitbulls here from Shocktreatment, and Engineer actually de-garrisons, realizing that there's just no way for the Pitbulls to actually kill that off. Meanwhile, we did see the APC actually drive over the mines, but it will actually go over to the hands of Maize. So these guys continuing to trade Tiberium spikes. I think that's the 3rd time those Tiberium spikes have each changed hands at the same time. So very, very interesting moves here indeed. Infantry support power being called in here by Maize. Kind of surprising position here. Not sure what he's planning on doing, but APC Engineer coming in. Actually, this is a great position. He's going to be able to stop this APC Engineer in its tracks. Great spot for that. I don't know if he saw the APC Engineer coming in from Shocktreatment, but that was a great positioning nonetheless. And we will be seeing this garrison. Going to be grabbing a few extra units here. It looks like a couple of rocket squads going to be jumping in there. Nope, actually they're just going to sit on the outside. I was kind of blending outskirts with outside. Now Shocktreatment going to be sending his MCV down to the expansion on the left-hand, or rather the right-hand side. So these guys expanding towards each other, interestingly enough. Maize just going for a base creep off to the right-hand side. Huge number of refineries out on the field. Probably doesn't need that many. Could probably sell like this one off. Doesn't really need that one. Maybe sell this one off as well. But he spent a lot of money on eco here, but he's got a lot of money out on the field as well in the form of units, rather. As we're seeing infantry and tanks moving forward, it looks like he's going to try to kill off the Tiberium spike here of Shocktreatment. Definitely going to kill off all these remaining units, but the question is, will Shocktreatment respond to this? It looks like he's sending some forces over here to try to stop the aggression here on the left side of the map. Meanwhile, he's actually probably feeling pretty good about the aggression on the left-hand side of the map as he's expanded off to the right. And meanwhile, Maize, he's almost... Well, no, he's mining very, very quickly on this expansion field, and he's going to be out of Tib here pretty soon, so he needs to get an expansion up and running somewhere. Should be looking to pack up his MCV, whatever this structure is going to be, probably going to be Tier 3. After dropping that, I would imagine he's going to look to go for the expansion off to the left-hand side as he's kind of sent his units over in that direction. But sniper teams, huge number of sniper teams out to deal with the rocket squads as well as the rifleman squads. That's a lot of sniper teams, but a definite investment that is worthwhile because he's absolutely winning this infantry engagement, and this is going to hugely turn the tides here for Maize as he's going to push through on the left-hand side. Needs to be careful though, those sniper teams. Wow, he's invested a lot of money in sniper teams. Holy wow. And those are all drafted sniper teams as well. None of them have rank, which means that they weren't called in from the support powers. Another infantry support power being called in here by Maize. He's actually expanding up to the right. I don't know, did he not see the expansion come out from Shocktreatment? He must have seen it. He drops a refinery, so these guys expanding towards one another, but their forces are on the opposite side of the map. Shocktreatment has actually expanded as well to the left-hand side, so he's actually multi-MCV at this stage in the game, and he's got a huge eco to speak of. Dual sonic emitters coming down, going to be looking to face off against one another here, trying to take out harvesters, but it looks like Maize should win out in that fight. Shocktreatment, in the meantime, he's got triple refinery on this field, but he's got nothing to really hold the line against these forces. He's getting flanked now by some rocket squads, but I don't think it's going to matter too much with this number of sniper teams just absolutely annihilating all of these missile squads. There's just no answer to these sniper teams whatsoever. And it's looking like Maize should be able to crush through here on the left-hand side. It was looking like he was doing pretty well here on the right-hand side as well, but it looks like Shocktreatment has the support of that War Factory just up above where he's pumping out Predator tanks. But they take some huge shots from these sonic emitters, taking a lot of damage, and he's trading out Predator tanks for these sonic emitters, but he's taking a lot of damage, and he doesn't want to be losing these Predator tanks right now, especially not right now. Construction yard going to be under fire here in the near future, but it's looking like this battle is slowed down a bit. The sonic emitter is just going to continue to poke away. Shocktreatment, I think, has the advantage on the right-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Maize has won pretty hard here on the left-hand side of the map. Not sure what happened to all of his infantry. His infantry trying to deal with the garrisons. I think they can just bypass these garrisons. I think they're spending way too much time with this stuff. They need to be up here annihilating the MCV, because you can see the build radius is just making it so much more difficult for these Predator tanks to really do the job they need to be doing. So I think this is a missed opportunity here for all of these infantry. But again, the infantry are also in danger because it's multi-MCV, so it is a bit scary. But MCV from Maize goes down, and this is actually not looking good for Maize. I thought he was in a really good position here for a stretch of time, but now he's looking to be in dire straits. He does still have a build, but has no eco to speak of, despite going really heavy into the eco production. So he's going to have to do something here on the right-hand side of the map, but railguns are done now for these Predator tanks, and that's just going to make them that much more scary. That amount of money spent on sniper teams is now pretty much useless as he runs into the base, trying to siege down this base, take out these Scorpion tanks, or rather Predator tanks. I keep wanting to call them Scorpion tanks. But anyways, we will be seeing the rocket squads going to be taking down these war factories pretty quickly. They need to now focus down the Predator tanks as they come out onto the front lines, but it looks like they're going to try to focus down the War Factory instead. Just going to be denying those reinforcements on the front lines, and eventually give some breathing room here to Maize as he pushes forward. Needs to be careful though. This sonic emitter can do quite a bit of damage. He's focusing it down pretty quickly. Needs to get these sniper teams out of range of the sonic emitter though, because they're taking a lot of damage. Elite rocket squad gets one shot there by a sonic emitter. Let's see what's going on the left-hand side. APC engineer grabs the MCV of Shocktreatment. That was huge. That was huge. Grabs the MCV away from Shocktreatment. Huge number of refineries and harvesters here on this side of the map. He actually forces the sell-off, but he did manage to capture that nonetheless. But I think that's still probably GG here for Maize. I don't think he can really hope to come back in this one. He has no eco and really no build to speak of as well. He sells off his only war factory that was left, I think. No, he has an MCV. He rebuilt an MCV. But Maize, realizing how far he is behind, he's just going to go ahead and throw in the towel. And that's going to be it for game number 4. Shocktreatment is up 3-1 in this best-of-7 series and could potentially close out the series and the tournament here in game number 5. And that's going to be coming up momentarily, everybody, so be sure to stick around. Hello everybody and welcome to game number 5 of our best of 7 final series, and that brings us to the map pipeline problems. And spawning on the top of the map as the Cyan GDI, we have Maize. And then down on the bottom side, the man that is at match point just needs to pick up a victory here in this game in order to close this one out as the blue nod. We have Shocktreatment. So it is going to be early shadow teams coming out from Shocktreatment. Very interesting start here coming out from him. And I think only... What? Whoa, okay. Emissary going way far forward here for Shocktreatment. Probably going to be a proxy war factory here coming out. The question is, will it be spotted? I think Maize can actually see over this ridge. It's not like the vision is denied. So very good pathing there. I'm just going to double check to make sure that the vision is there. I'm like 99% sure it is there. Yeah, he can see that. So Maize has full vision of the fact that there is an expansion coming out from Shocktreatment towards him, and he needs to deal with this quickly. Meanwhile, we did see the shadow teams coming in, and they did manage to bomb something down. I do apologize, I did miss that. I was busy trying to check the vision radius there. Very important to see what's going on there. He may have actually got the... I'm not sure what he got. But anyways, it looks like the power plant forced to be sold off there. Does not actually get the kill. But APC Engineer, or rather APC Pitbull, going to be chasing down these shadow teams, and they should be able to give them a run for their money. Harvester actually getting in on the action, manages to gun down the final member of that shadow team before it got away. So great move there from Maize. Just a lucky Harvester rally point. But Proxy War Factory it is, and that's going to be coming out from Shocktreatment. The question is, what's it going to be on the front lines? Flame tanks! Early flame tanks, so super cheese coming out from Shocktreatment as we do see the tier 2. A second War Factory coming down as well. This blue Tiberium expansion is all but gone for Maize. He has no way of stopping this. He definitely saw it coming, but he had to respond to the shadow team. So the super cheese coming out from Shocktreatment may have just won him this game. The question is, will there be anything sneaky coming out from Maize in response? He needs to do something. There needs to be an APC Engineer capture somewhere on the map. Likely needs to be the construction yard in order to keep himself alive in this game. 2 flame tanks on the front lines. I think one is veteran. And, oh, this is not looking good for Maize. He's only got 2 Predator tanks out to stop this. Can try to building block it, but there are Scorpion tanks here to deal with these Predator tanks as well. So that Proxy War Factory really, really doing some serious work here in this game. And I think those flame tanks are going to get into range. They're going to flame down the refinery, and that is probably going to be GG. I don't think there's another refinery for Maize in this game, and that is probably going to be it. I would imagine the tap out coming in from Maize here any second. No, we had another refinery queued! Oh my god, Maize is still alive. Maize is still alive. The flame tanks do go down, so he is still alive. He has a huge number of harvesters. He's not out of this game yet. If he didn't have that refinery queuing, he was probably lights out, because I don't think he'd have enough money to rebuild a refinery. Actually, scratch that. Tiberium Wars refineries are $1,000 cheaper. Only $2,000 for a refinery. He probably would have been able to rebuild it if he sold off some structures. He's definitely behind, though. Shocktreatment, he spent a lot of money on aggression units, and the question is, will he be able to keep it up? Because Maize has a huge harvester advantage right now. And once he gets things back up and running, he's going to be able to start pumping out on that production pretty significantly, as I scrolled in there by accident. Proxy War Factory is still here. He's actually bringing out infantry as well, so not ready to give up on this aggression here on the left-hand side of the map. And Maize may be thinking that that is pretty much stopped. Hasn't actually chosen to expand back to the blue field yet. There's not a whole lot of blue Tiberium left on that field to really expand back to. APC Engineer coming out now from Maize, and it's looking like he's going to be sending this over, and that APC Engineer is going to be going down very quickly once it realizes that all these rocket squads are here. And yeah, he's going to try to run. I don't think he'll be able to get away. Oh my god, he gets away with just enough HP, so the lightning fast reflexes here from Maize is going to be able to keep that APC Engineer alive just a touch longer. Shadow team's still out on the map here for Shocktreatment, and we're going to be seeing Predator tank versus Scorpion tanks. Scorpion tanks really being cut off here, getting absolutely annihilated, but the infantry going to be coming forward and absolutely smashing this base. MCV's out of position, not dropping. Whoa, where's the MCV going? He's going for a base trade? Whoa, this is going to be interesting. So yeah, I mean, Shocktreatment, he's invested all of his money into units up in this top side of the map. And the structures are gone. He sold off the war factory. Oh my god, this is not good. Shock treatment. He's got stuff headed his way. The question is, does he have the eco to hold it off? Oh man, this is not good. So Maize doing the smart thing, realizing that he can't really stop that amount of infantry. He's going to go ahead and just try to do as much damage as he can to this stuff. Maybe force these guys to just destroy the rest of these structures. But Tiberium Infusion, as well as the Confessor upgrade done as well. So these infantry are going to be pretty potent to deal with. Harvester off the line could be joining his ally's base here. Not his ally, I guess it's actually just him. Not sure what the Tiberium silos are for. Maize maybe just looking for his final stand here. He's going to be selling off these Tiberium silos just to get out some rifleman squads. Interesting choice, but the Predator tanks trying to roll into this base to do some damage. Rocket squad's going to be able to hold the line here, though. I don't think these Predator tanks have enough damage output to really focus down these structures. Really needed something like a flame tank in order to return the favor here to Shock Treatment. Unfortunately, nothing in the possession of GDI that can do that kind of damage, at least not for Tier 1, Tier 2. But now we actually have a Black Hand squad that's managed to run its way forward and could potentially be picking off some rifleman squads here. Not sure what they're really doing. It looks like now they're choosing to fire on these rifleman squads, and Maize desperately trying to hold the line here, but he's just caught between a rock and a hard place. He's got infantry swarming in from each side, and that is going to be it. Maize throws in the towel. Shock Treatment going to be coming through with a victory in the game, in the series, and the tournament. He takes a 4-1 over Maize for our best-of-7 finals. That is it, folks. Shock Treatment is your winner. Maize coming through with a second-place finish. 7 minutes exactly on the clock for game number 5. And Shock Treatment coming through with a convincing victory. That very early cheese aggression really paying dividends for him. The flame tanks doing a lot of work. And Maize, despite having enough money to really continue on in the game, just was not able to respond to the infantry transitions. Shock Treatment making great transitions and choosing where to really focus his infrastructure on. Smart moves, risky moves, but smart moves nonetheless. So solid play coming out from Shock Treatment, looking to be in prime form. So he's going to take the victory. Congratulations to him. Maize is going to be taking second place, and I'm not sure if there was a third place matchup. Let me see if there was. Bronze placement. It looks like, well, so the third place match took place between Bert and Zoro, and it looks like Zoro got a 4-0 there. So I'm not sure if that was just the fact that Bert left after his semifinal game, or if Zoro in fact did beat him 4-0. I'm sure Angel of Death or somebody can confirm or deny that one way or another. But all the same, it will be Zoro taking third place. So going back from the top, we have Shock Treatment taking the victory, taking first place, Maize taking second place, and then Zoro coming in third, Bert coming in fourth. So solid games out of everybody here today. We've seen some excellent action. It was very, very fast as well. I think it was only about 2.5 hour long stream. We were cruising through things here today. Granted, not a huge number of players, but we had enough to at least put on a nice show for you guys. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you've all enjoyed the tournament here today. I know I certainly have, and it looks like we got up to about 75-ish people. Let me see. I'll refresh and see what we got up to here. It's saying peak concurrent was 69, but there's 70-something people here watching now, so I'm thinking that my statistics are off. So anyways, I'm pretty sure it was up around 75. It was nice to see everybody stopping by. Thank you for joining me here this morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at in the world. I know I certainly had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too, but stay tuned to the channel. We have a Kane's Wrath 2 vs 2 New Year's tournament going to be coming up tomorrow at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m., or rather 1200 GMT. So that will be midday GMT. 7 a.m. EST. So very, very early in the morning, but should be a good bit of fun. We have a tremendous number of players signed up for that, and it should be an excellent show for you guys tomorrow. And again, that's coming up tomorrow. It's not next week. It is tomorrow. So you can check that out on my channel if you're interested. If you're watching the video after the fact, well, the tournament may have already happened, so go and check that out too. But anyways, that's going to be it for me here today, folks. I hope you guys all enjoyed yourselves. I had a blast. It's nice to be back for 2016, and I wanted to take an opportunity to say to those of you that stopped by my 3,000 subscriber video there, my little vlog, to say thank you guys for the support. There was an overwhelmingly positive response to that video, and I couldn't be happier about the way that turned out. So thank you guys all for being so supportive over the years. I have a lot of fun stuff planned for you guys for 2016. I know a lot of it I kind of mentioned in that video. I haven't actually capitalized on it yet, but that is coming. It is coming, I promise you. And we've got a lot of cool stuff coming for you guys here from Game Replays as well. So thank you guys from the Game Replays team for putting this show on for us here today. Angel of Death, Toxic Shock doing a lot of work here. And of course, because he's going to cry about it, I'm sorry, not Angel of Death, but Aggressive Panda. Yes, you did images, Panda. We know. Anyways, that's just a little inside joke between him and I. But yes, thank you to everybody that participated, everybody that did the hard work, and thank you for all of those fine folks out there that have been watching. Hope you guys have all enjoyed it here today. I had a blast, and we'll try to send you guys out on a fun note here. Let me see if I can find some good music, and we will get that up and running. But yeah, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thanks for joining me once again. This has been Spartacus, and I'll catch you all next time.